Suffocation. Biting water pressure crushed his body relentlessly. Frigid seawater flooded his mouth and nose, and dull, low-frequency water sounds filled his ears. There was no clattering of keyboards, no urgent update, demanding bullet comments from readers, no computer screen burning through the night. Lu Ming jolted awake, his consciousness forcibly dragged back from pitch-black darkness. He remembered everything clearly. He was a hard-working yet underperforming novelist on a web novel platform. To boost retention for his new book, he had pulled an all-nighter, cranking out 20,000 words per day. His comment section was flooded with readers' frantic messages. Author, hurry up, update, or we'll send you threatening letters. Why are you stuck? Post the next chapter right now. Unfollow if you stop updating. Unless you post bonus content. After staying awake for more than 30 hours, his brain crashed. A sharp pain stabbed Lu Ming's chest. His vision faded, and he collapsed unconscious in front of his computer. When he opened his eyes again, the whole world had changed. He tried to lift a hand to rub his throbbing temples, yet met nothing but cold, hard, leathery skin. His limbs were gone. In their place was a massive, streamlined body that was entirely inhuman. His skin bore the matte, dark gray, black unique to a newborn orca calf, lacking the glossy sheen of fully grown adults. Pale creamy, yellow juvenile patches marked his belly, and the iconic white patches behind his eyes were faint and poorly defined, their outlines not yet fully formed. He measured roughly 2.3 meters in length and weighed around 130 kilograms. He possessed the standard physique of a newly born orca calf that had not yet ventured out with its pod. He gave his broad, sturdy tail fluke a gentle sweep. Water flowed over his body, counteracting the mild coastal current and holding him steady in suspension. I transmigrated and turned into an orca. I've become a whale. Lu Ming's mind reeled in disbelief. In his past life, he had written countless thrilling evolution by devouring and monster protagonist stories until his head ached. He never imagined that dying from overwork would land him in a real-life monster protagonist start. What was even more absurd was that he retained his full adult human mind, memories, logic, and emotions intact. This was no mere possession or soul inhabitation. From flesh and organs to bones and spirit, his current body was genuinely that of this lone newborn orca calf. Strands of unfamiliar memories flowed into his mind, letting Lu Ming quickly understand this parallel blue planet. It was nearly identical to Earth, with matching landforms, cities, and human culture. Yet there was no supernatural power, no spiritual energy, no demons or evil gods. On the surface, it was just an ordinary modern blue world. Lu Ming let out a mental breath of relief. Thankfully, he had not landed in a wuxia world full of betrayal, a mystical chaotic realm, or a frozen apocalypse. He had simply transmigrated and ended up in an absurd new form. Cold reality crashed over him soon after. A wild newborn orca calf could not survive on its own. Under normal circumstances, calves stayed close to their mothers, surviving on maternal milk, pod protection, and group hunting lessons. Alone in coastal waters with no pod, no protection, and no survival experience, Lu Ming was in a dire situation. His body was frail, his subcutaneous fat thin, and his explosive power and stamina were severely limited. He could not hope to fend off great white sharks or other large marine predators. Even swarms of mackerel or squid could tear him apart. The vast ocean looked peaceful, yet death lurked everywhere. Weakness meant certain death. The moment Lu Ming grasped his predicament, and a sense of crisis rose within him. Ding. Soul resonance complete. Infinite devouring evolution system activated. A cold, pure prompt resonated deep within his soul. There were no flashy visual effects, no virtual game-like interface. This system seemed to be an innate ability fused into Lu Ming's very flesh and instincts. A plain, concise status panel floated in his field of vision. Host, Lu Ming gender, undetermined species, orca newborn calf tier, tier 0 mortal creature, very weak physique, standard newborn, calf build undeveloped, low fat reserves, insufficient explosive power soul, complete human soul mental capacity, reasoning and perception far surpass wild marine life. Talent, infinite devouring unique supreme talent evolution points, 0 out of 10 unlockable evolution paths. Not yet unlocked. Lu Ming's gaze locked onto the talent description. Infinite devouring. All things under heaven may be devoured. Flesh and blood, bones and organs, plankton, even worldly impurities can all be absorbed. 100% conversion rate. 0 waste, 0 rejection, no side effects. Endless accumulation, endless breakthroughs. Shatter species limitations, no upper limit to evolution. All his anxiety melted away in an instant. This was amazing, truly amazing. For years he had written stories centered on devouring and evolution, and now the ultimate golden finger belonged to him. Others began as humans, growing stronger through opportunity, arduous training, and desperate resource grabbing. He had started out as a whale, and he grew stronger through one simple act: devouring. No talent constraints, no blood-line shackles, no rigid tier-based bottlenecks. Eat enough, and he could evolve and grow without bound. Orcas were already the pinnacle of intelligence among dolphins, natural apex predators of the ocean. Stacked with infinite devouring, this starting condition was almost overpowered. Lu Ming pressed his tail fluke downwards, gliding silently through the water in his juvenile whale form, guided by a calm, calculating human mind. First survive, then grow stronger. Sunlight filtered down through the clear, shallow coastal water, casting shimmering streaks across the sea. A dense silver mass of fish swam about 100 meters away, a school of sardines. These small schooling fish relied on tens of thousands of individuals moving in unison to create visual deterrence against predators. Harmless and lacking biting power, they formed one of the largest food sources at the bottom of the coastal food web. For his current vulnerable, isolated self, they were the safest, most accessible first batch of evolutionary nourishment. Lu Ming stabilized his body. Using the orca's natural counter, shading camouflage, his black dorsal side blended into deep water shadows, while his pale belly matched the light from above. He vanished into his surroundings without disturbing the fish school. The moment came. He exploded forwards. His juvenile body surged ahead, cutting through the water in a short, forceful burst. Water churned violently. The sardines sensed danger instantly, tens of thousands of individuals twisting and contracting into a tighter ball with remarkable reflexes. Fast as they were, the small fish could not evade the close-range strike of a predator whale. Lu Ming opened his massive jaws, drawing in huge volumes of seawater and engulfing the edge of the school. 27 sardines were trapped inside. Orcas possessed a special physiology that filtered seawater while retaining prey. As soon as the fish entered his body, their flesh and nutrients were fully digested and absorbed with no residue. Ding. Devoured sardine times 27. Gained evolution points, 0.27. Current evolution points, 0.27/10. A gentle warm current coursed through every part of his body. His thin subcutaneous fat thickened slightly, his muscles tightened, water resistance lessened marginally, and his stamina improved. The changes were subtle but real. Lu Ming understood. Small creatures yielded few points, yet they existed in countless numbers. Shoals, shrimp, plankton across the sea were all his larder. 0.27 evolution points gained. Lu Ming hovered in the coastal current as currents washed over him. He was unsurprised. Sardines were tiny low-tier filter feeders with lean flesh and little inherent energy. They existed in vast numbers, yet offered minimal individual value. 27 fish for this little gain. Pure drudgery. Low, rank prey only fill the stomach, barely contributing real progress. He knew that sheer quantity was an inefficient path. To escape his frail, vulnerable calf form quickly, he needed to hunt large predatory fish. He was a lone calf with no mother to feed him and no pod to protect him. In this merciless ocean, no one would bail him out. The deep sea offered no kindness, only brutal survival of the fittest. Years of writing monster, evolution stories had ingrained hunting tactics and growth logic deep inside Lu Ming. Others rely on luck, inheritance, or brutal resource, fighting to advance. Not me. Kill and devour, and I grow infinitely stronger. A low, youthful orca call echoed softly underwater, sounding like the naive cry of an unthreatening young calf with no trace of apex predator menace. Lu Ming flicked his tail and dived further along the gentle current. His dark whale eyes scanned the surrounding waters with cold clarity. He abandoned the sardine school, grinding away at trivial prey waste stamina. I must target more formidable quarry. Quantity alone would never bring true transformation. Moments later, through rippling shafts of light, he spotted a sharp-edged shadow on the outer edge of the coral reef transition zone. An adult large king mackerel. Far bigger than ordinary small coastal fish, it measured close to 2.2 meters long, with a sleek spindle-shaped body. Its back shimmered metallic silver, blue, its belly snow-white, marked by scattered faint gray blotches. A solitary top, tier mid-water coastal predator, It was ferocious, greedy, and highly aggressive. The king mackerel's strength lay in muscle and killing instinct. Dense white muscle fibers built for explosive bursts let it hit short. Distance speeds up to 90 kilometers per hour. Its jaw gaped wide, lined with sharp conical teeth capable of shearing prey of comparable size clean in half. Within these coastal transition waters, aside from large sharks, it had almost no rivals. The mackerel cruised at a steady pace in mid-water, its fierce eyes tracking fleeing small fish, alert and dominant, the consummate hunter. Finally, something worthwhile. All that dense muscle and bone must hold far more energy than trivial fish. Solid evolution points for sure. Yet it is overly watchful and fast. A head, on charge, would almost certainly end in failure. A cunning glint passed through Lu Ming's eyes as he thought rapidly. Predators forged through constant combat made excellent nourishment. Still, its caution, speed, and ferocity ruled out brute force confrontation. In his current juvenile state, a direct rush would guarantee a missed strike. Against such arrogant, suspicious, lightning, fast hunters, wisdom trumped brute force. I cannot match its speed right now, but no creature in this ocean can match human intelligence. I have written countless hunting scenes. I know more tactics than this fish has eaten meals. Lu Ming suppressed all signs of activity. He relaxed every muscle, ceasing active stabilization of his body. His large form lost momentum, drifting and rolling weakly with the current. He perfectly mimicked the posture of a dying orca calf. This was an advanced hunting trick innate to orcas, refined further by precise human thought. Water disturbance was reduced to an absolute minimum. To the king mackerel, he appeared as nothing more than a large lump of meat adrift in the current. 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. Distance shrank rapidly. The proud, ferocious mackerel remained oblivious. It kept its focus on small bait, fish, paying no mind to what it saw as a lifeless corpse. The arrogance of predators was their deadliest flaw. Perfect. The target has fully lowered its guard. Killing range achieved. The instant they drew close enough for a fatal strike, Lu Ming struck. His previously limp body erupted with every ounce of power. His heart pumped furiously, hot blood flooding through bone and sinew as muscles snapped taut. He whipped his heavy tail fluke with brutal force. Boom. Seawater churned violently. His large body became a dark streak surging forward, breaking through water resistance for a short range burst exceeding what his size should allow. Turbulence finally alerted the king mackerel. Its fierce eyes widened. Muscles tensed as it prepared to flee or counter-attack. Too late. The short killing distance left no time to build up speed. Lu Ming had already mapped out every escape vector and anticipated every countermove. He opened his enormous jaws, creating powerful suction in the surrounding water. Invisible hydrodynamic force seized the area. The panicking mackerel, thrashing its tail in desperation, was dragged straight toward the orca's maw. The king mackerel twisted violently, biting wildly and slapping its tail, doing everything it could to break free. Yet against the orca's superior size, weight, and hydrodynamic grip, all struggle was futile, merely a final death spasm. Squelch. Sharp orca teeth bit down hard, piercing straight through the mackerel's torso and locking bone and flesh in place. Hard scales, compact muscle, and tough skeleton crunched under the bite. Scalding red blood gushed out, staining the seawater as the sharp tang of blood spread through the depths. The once dominant hunter went limp, lifeless. Got it. Without hesitation, Lu Ming tore and swallowed the king mackerel piece by piece. His esophagus filtered out all seawater. Flesh, blood, and bone were fully absorbed without waste. Ding. Devoured adult king mackerel. Gained evolution points. 2.0. Current evolution points. February 27th, 10. A far richer wave of warmth flooded his entire body. The dense muscle energy and high-density bone nutrients forged by the mackerel's constant high-speed combat washed over his frame. His muscles grew denser and tighter. Hydrodynamic drag decreased significantly. Tail, fluke explosive power, and bodily flexibility improved across the board. The tangible feeling of growing stronger was unmistakable. Exactly as expected, hunting stronger predators yields vastly greater rewards. Trivial fish only add up through sheer numbers. High-rank prey bring real, tangible improvement with every kill. Lu Ming felt a surge of satisfaction as he grasped the core logic of his devouring evolution system. Low-grade prey kept him alive. Hunting powerful foes let him truly thrive. Buoyed by his success, his hunting instinct blazed. So much prey in these waters. I will hunt them all. From today onward, I shall clear out this coastal zone. For the better part of the following day, the coastal waters became Lu Ming's private hunting ground. His initial nervousness in the ocean faded. Armed with human-level foresight, calculation, and precise tactics far beyond ordinary marine creatures, he systematically hunted every viable creature nearby. Ding. Devoured deep sea eel. Gained evolution points. 1.5. Ding. Devoured wild tuna. Gained evolution points. 1.0. Ding. Devoured giant octopus. Gained evolution points. 1.0. Creature after creature that crossed his path fell victim to his hunt. No matter how fast they swam, how well they hid, or how fierce or cunning they were, all became fuel for his evolution. Time and again seawater turned red with blood, only for tides to dilute the stains. Within these coastal waters reigned a merciless cycle of hunting and survival of the fittest. His evolution points climbed steadily without pause. Half a day passed. Nearly all medium-sized and small predators in the surrounding coastal waters had been wiped out. Small fish grew scarce, predatory species vanished, and the waters turned quiet. Lu Ming's large orca body hovered slowly in dim water. All sounds of slaughter died away, and currents settled around him. The constant stream of system notifications fell silent. His accumulated evolution points far exceeded the threshold for his first advancement. Enough. The required accumulation is complete. I have gathered enough points. Time for my first biological transformation. Lu Ming thought to himself, anticipation stirring in his eyes. Lu Ming stirred his mind. A pale, gold attribute panel hovered quietly in the center of his field of vision. Lu Ming stared at the overflowing evolution points on the panel. The massive whale body suspended in the dim shallow sea trembled uncontrollably. 12.7 out of 10 points. It had surpassed the 10-point threshold required for the first advancement. After a long day and night of relentless, blood-soaked hunts, he had wiped out groups of small to medium-sized predators across the offshore waters. All his efforts had finally borne fruit. That's enough. Lu Ming let out a long sigh in his heart, filled with emotion. When he had crossed over, he had started out as a lone infant whale with no kin and no clan to shelter him. Right after birth, he had sat near the bottom of the ocean food chain. Any predatory fish could have eaten him alive. Honestly, this start is downright hell mode. Other transmigrated beasts get built, in buffs and clans right out the gate. I spawned naked into the open ocean, almost dying before I even got going. From a frail newborn cub, through countless ambushes and brutal fights, he had devoured the flesh of innumerable sea creatures to earn his first chance at evolution. Only he knew just how perilous every step had been. There were no lucky breaks in the deep sea. Every point of evolution had been bought with the lives of his prey, carved out in a fight for survival. As his thoughts swirled, the cold, mechanical voice of the system rang out in his mind. Ding. Host's evolution points have met the requirement. All conditions for advancement from rank 0 mortal creature satisfied. First life metamorphosis may begin. Warning. Evolution lasts 10 minutes. Your body will be completely immobilized and defenseless. Reach an absolutely safe sea area as soon as possible. Immobilized? Lu Ming's eyes sharpened. All joy faded in an instant, replaced by full-on vigilance. This was a critical, fatal risk. For 10 whole minutes, he could not move, resist, swim, or detect incoming enemies. In the deadly ocean, a giant whale unable to move would be a feast for every predator nearby. Nothing comes for free when growing stronger. The system does not hand out charity. Major evolution always carries major risk. If a shark or large predator stumbles upon me, all my hard hunting will only feed someone else. He could not afford to gamble. He had to find a perfectly hidden spot free of natural enemies and large predators. He quickly scanned his surroundings and ruled out the open coral reef zone where he had been hunting. Water flowed freely here, visibility was high, and fish swarmed constantly. It would be far too easy for roaming hunters to spot him. Memories raced through his mind. Lu Ming locked onto an underwater grotto along an offshore cliff he had chanced upon half an hour earlier. It was a natural rift where shallow waters met the mid-ocean. Jagged rock formed a sealed underwater cavern dozens of meters wide, recessed into the cliff face. The entrance was thickly veiled by layers of brown algae and sargassum stretching more than 10 meters high, completely concealing the interior. Inside the cavern, the water lay still with almost no undercurrents. No vicious predators dwelt here, only harmless bottom-dwelling snails, small crabs, plankton, and tiny fish, virtually no threats at all. Most importantly, the enclosed cavern was too narrow for large sharks and sea beasts to squeeze inside. It was the ideal natural shelter for his evolution in these offshore waters. This is the place. Hidden, enclosed, no predators, calm currents. 10 minutes will be plenty safe here. Without further hesitation, Lu Ming thrust hard with his tail fin. He shot forward like a dark current along the deep layers beside the cliff. Avoiding strong main currents and zones thick with fish, he surged through the algae-covered cavern entrance in mere seconds. Inside, the water was clear, still, and deathly quiet. Lu Ming swept through and chased out every small fish and crab within the cavern to remove all possible disturbances. After confirming there were no living creatures within 100 meters and no shifting water patterns to signal danger, he finally relaxed. The environment is secure. No threats detected. Commence evolution. Firm in his resolve, he addressed the system. Initiate the first life metamorphosis. Ding. Advancement commencing. This is the rank, 0 rank, 1 life metamorphosis. Evolution branch options unlocked. Please select one of the 3 options to set your exclusive evolutionary bias. As the prompt ended, the light panel refreshed to display 3 distinct evolutionary paths. Option 1. Iron, hard-bone frame, physical evolution effect. Comprehensive reconstruction and enhancement of bones, muscles, and skin. Bone density doubled. Muscle fiber toughness greatly increased. Compressive fat layers grow beneath the skin. Physical damage resistance, bodily load capacity, and biting power for close range combat are all doubled. Perfect for deep sea battles. Option 2. Tidal swift swimming perception evolution effect. Your body's streamlined structure is optimized to eliminate water resistance. Gill oxygen. Absorption efficiency increased by 200%. Tail, fin explosive power upgraded. Swimming speed surges in offshore and mid-water zones. Turning, evasion, and pursuit abilities undergo all-round transformation. Option 3. Spirit, sea focus soul evolution effect. Refine your human soul origin and break mortal mental shackles. Underwater detection range expanded tenfold. You can track creature movements hundreds of li away by reading water flow vibrations. Mental resistance rises sharply, allowing early danger detection and precise hunting. 3 choices, 3 entirely different growth paths. Hovering at the cavern's center, Lu Ming thought rapidly, weighing pros and cons calmly. None of these options are useless. Each has its own strengths. Iron, hard-bone frame focuses on head-on combat. High damage tolerance for fights against large sea beasts. Tidal swift swimming prioritizes mobility. Great speed for chasing, evading, and hit and run tactics. Spirit, sea focus is a passive mental buff. Boosts detection and foresight, ideal for ambushing and avoiding danger ahead of time. He analyzed each option against his current predicament to find the optimal solution. My biggest weakness right now is neither speed nor perception. My core problem is a fragile foundation. As a newborn whale, my bones were porous, my muscles thin, and my body could barely bear strain. For all my size, I was physically frail. A serious opponent could cripple me with a single blow. Speed could be compensated for by technique, and caution could make up for limited perception. But a solid physical form was the foundation of all hunting, survival, and evolution. No matter how fast you swam or how well you foresaw threats, you would collapse instantly once a predator closed in and landed a hit. Without a strong body to rely on, speed and perception sound appealing in the short term. Physical enhancement is always a solid long-term investment. My infinite devourability will let me consume sea beasts, mutated creatures, and other exotic beings in the future. Without sufficient bodily load capacity, I will not survive the backlash of high-rank evolution. I need to shore up my physical foundation first. A tall building rises from solid ground. Only a stable base allows for boundless growth. Having sorted out every key point, Lu Ming made up his mind, resolve shining in his eyes. I choose option 1. Iron, hard-bone frame. Ding. Host selection confirmed. Evolution bias locked. Extreme physical enhancement. 10-minute first. Stage metamorphosis officially begins. Soft pale. White light seeped from every pore across his flesh, wrapping his whole whale body in layered radiance. There were no deafening explosions or spectacular phenomena, only a quiet, thorough remaking that reached deep into his bones. The next instant, surging, warm evolutionary energy rushed through every part of his body, his bones and organs. Lu Ming could clearly feel his body being disassembled, rebuilt, and reborn from scratch. His formerly thin, matte, black outer skin tightened, thickened, and hardened under the energy's tempering. The pale yellow markings on his underbelly settled into their final form. Fine biological texture grew across his skin, granting it a tough quality that resisted water pressure and impact. A dense, tingling ache spread through his skeleton. Porous, fragile newborn bones grew denser, thicker and calcified at a visible rate. Every rib, vertebra, and jawbone grew far more compact, gaps filled by pure evolutionary energy. Ordinary mortal beast bone transformed into pressure-resistant deep, sea-hard bone. Muscle fibers recombined frantically. Loose, underdeveloped muscle tightened and stacked into dense, high-tension muscle bundles, brimming with raw combat power. A thick, compact compressive fat layer formed inside his torso to counter deep sea pressure. It insulated him against frigid seawater and boosted stamina, cold resistance, and pressure tolerance all at once. Even the jagged teeth inside his mouth lengthened, sharpened, and hardened. Bite depth and tearing force doubled. From the inside out, head to tail, the whale underwent a complete rebirth. Its size exploded. 2.3 meters, 2.8 meters, 3.5 meters, 4.2 meters. Over 5 minutes of transformation, his original 2.3-meter newborn form grew all the way to 4.6 meters. His weight jumped from 130 kilograms to 1,800 kilograms. The frail cub had turned into a threatening sub-adult orca. His skin glowed dark and lustrous, muscles tight. His outline fierce and streamlined, no trace of infant softness left. Every movement radiated the imposing aura of a top-tier deep sea predator. 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Ding. First life metamorphosis complete. Species rank elevated. Rank 0 mortal creature rank 1 low tier ferocious beast. All physical attributes doubled and stabilized. Passive talon iron, hard bone frame permanently bound. Remaining evolution points reset. Accumulate points for the next breakthrough. Lu Ming unfurled his tail fin slowly. He reveled in the explosive power surging through his body. This is what true transformation feels like. My old frailty is gone. This body makes me a genuine deep sea hunter. With a thought, his updated full status panel unfolded. Host, Lu Ming gender, undefined species, orca sub, adult, low, tier ferocious beast age, 3 days since birth lifespan, 80 years species limit unlocked, may increase through evolution weight, 1,800 kilograms rank 1 low, tier ferocious beast. Physique, iron, hard bone frame all, round doubled enhancement, dense bones, explosive muscle power, pressure, resistant skin, minor pressure immunity boost soul, complete human soul thought, reason and awareness surpass wild marine life talents, infinite devour unique supreme talent iron, hard bone frame permanent passive. Evolution points, 0 out of 100 advancement threshold raised available evolution paths, unlocked upon next breakthrough special restrictions. Cannot take human form for now. True orca form locked. New precise stats for age, weight, and lifespan. And the evolution threshold went up too. Evolution points are now set at 100. Makes sense. Higher ranks demand far greater accumulation. 10 points sufficed for the last breakthrough. Now the requirement is 10 times larger. That works. A higher threshold should mean even greater qualitative change next time. Lu Ming nodded in understanding. He surged forward and burst out of the algae-covered cavern. Back in open shallow water, sunlight filtered down through the water and glinted with a cold metallic sheen across his dense black skin. He gave his tail a casual swing. Boom. Water was violently blasted apart. His massive body shot forward more than 10 meters in an instant. Speed, explosive force, and agility had all surged comprehensively. Even his ordinary cruising speed now outstripped his maximum sprint speed before evolution. Incredible. Mobility improved far more than I expected. Right now I have heightened speed, strength, and defense. Small and mid-sized offshore creatures can be killed with a single bite. Still, trivial prey cannot show my true combat power. To test myself, I need a worthy opponent of comparable strength. Lu Ming's dark orca eyes swept across the surrounding sea. He paid no mind to fleeing small fish. He sought a rival predator that could fight him head-on. Only a brutal clash against a strong foe could truly reveal what his evolution had accomplished. Before long, deep within the mid-ocean currents, a streak of silver, blue flashed into view. At the sight of his target, fighting spirit blazed within Lu Ming. An adult giant Japanese Spanish mackerel. Known locally as sea barracuda, it was nicknamed Cheetah of the Ocean, a top predator of mid-depth offshore waters. This specimen measured nearly 3.2 meters long and weighed over 2,000 kilograms. An exceptionally large member of its species. It had a streamlined spindle-shaped body with sharp hard spines along its dorsal fin. Three raised ridges on either side of its narrow tail minimized water drag. Its short, burst speed was second only to the fastest marine species, capable of hitting 90 kilometers per hour. Its huge jaw housed rows of sharp, backward, angled conical teeth. Once it bit down, it would not let go, relying on high-speed ramming and tearing strikes to kill prey. Fierce, tempered, and territorial, it was a seasoned killer that hunted countless marine animals across these waters. It was the only wild predator in this area that could stand against a newly evolved rank, one Orca. Perfect, exactly what I needed. This foe matches my current power level. A pure physical contest without relying on wits, an ideal test for my new strength. When I was weaker, I could only hunt smaller mackerel through sneak attacks. Now that I have evolved, I can fight one head-on. The giant mackerel had also spotted Lu Ming. In its territory, it considered itself the undisputed ruler of these mid-depth offshore waters. The intruder directly violated its territorial instinct. Whoosh! Its silver-blue form accelerated, slipping almost frictionlessly through the water. It turned sharply, its ferocious fish eyes locking onto Lu Ming. Aggression radiated from its body. It showed no fear, dropping low to build momentum, adopting a fully offensive hunting stance. Bold indeed, just as you would expect from a top wild predator. Since you came looking for trouble, you will be the first to feel my new power. Lu Ming advanced instead of retreating, stabilizing his huge body. Every muscle tensed, and the passive effects of iron, hard-bone frame activated fully. The two apex offshore predators faced each other 100 meters apart. Tension filled the water. In the next instant, the giant mackerel struck first. It wasted no time on posturing. Its body compressed as it unleashed its maximum charge. A silver-blue blur sliced through the sea, carrying terrifying kinetic force straight toward Lu Ming's softer underbelly. The mackerel fought by high-speed ramming followed by instant tearing bites. It would stun its target with impact before ripping flesh with its hooked teeth. An unevolved infant orca would have sustained catastrophic damage from this attack. Against Lu Ming, reinforced by evolution, amplified physical power, the tactic failed completely. Too slow. Lu Ming thought calmly, predicting its charging trajectory. At the very moment the mackerel drew near, he swung his heavy tail fin sideways with full force. Bang! A deep underwater boom echoed. The powerful, well-aimed tail strike crashed hard against the mackerel's flank. The combined momentum of the mackerel's charge and Lu Ming's overwhelming strength struck home. Crack! A clear sound of breaking bone rang out underwater. Several ribs and hard spines along the mackerel's side snapped. Silver-blue scales shattered and flaked away. Clouds of scales and blood bloomed in the seawater. Badly wounded, the mackerel lost control and tumbled through the currents. Driven mad by pain, it twisted violently, trying to spin around and bite Lu Ming's fins. Still trying to counterattack? You have spirit, yet it will avail you nothing. Cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He gave it no opening to strike back. His evolved body outmaneuvered the mackerel. He shifted sideways to block all escape and counter-attack angles. His enormous jaws clamped shut. Sharp, hardened orca teeth, empowered by doubled bite force, locked onto the mackerel's midsection. Squelch! Blood billowed in the deep sea, staining a wide stretch of water red. Flesh and splintered bone were crushed in his grip. The mackerel thrashed wildly, churning the currents in agony. Its teeth scrabbled against Lu Ming's skin, yet they only left faint white marks on his toughened hide. They could not pierce his defenses at all. The physical resistance granted by iron, hard-bone frame outmatched the offensive power of this equal-rank predator. Your struggles are futile. In fights between evenly matched foes, victory hinges on physical foundation, stamina, defense, and raw power. You rely on speed to fight, but I crush you with absolute physical prowess. The moment you crashed into me, the outcome was already sealed. Lu Ming wasted no more time. His jaw muscles tensed with brutal force and clamped down hard. Two sharp cracks of splintering bone rang out. The giant blue, spotted mackerel's spine was snapped clean through. The ferocious overlord of the deep sea, once so domineering, instantly went limp. All struggles ceased completely. It was dead. Lu Ming tore at the carcass and slowly swallowed the entire giant mackerel into his abdominal cavity. His specialized esophagus filtered out seawater. Every bit of fish bone, flesh, vital essence, and powerful muscle tissue was perfectly absorbed by his internal organs. Ding! Successfully hunted a fierce, beast, rank predator of equal tier, giant blue, spotted mackerel. Perfect absorption of high-density muscle mass and hard bone essence. Evolution points obtained, 12.6. Current evolution points, 12.6/100. A far richer, surging warm current than any from previous prey washed through every part of Lu Ming's body. The explosive muscular energy and hard bony nutrients forged by the mackerel's constant high-speed battles nourished his iron-blooded physique. His already extremely dense muscles and bones received subtle further enhancement, and his physical foundation grew even more solid. That feels great. This is the thrill of hunting. Small fry barely give any evolution points. One fierce beast, rank prey of my own tier, is worth 100 ordinary fish. What's more, this real combat has let me fully grasp my current combat power. Lu Ming hovered in the blood-tinged seawater, his mind crystal clear. Blessed by his first-tier fierce beast status and iron-blooded physique, he was unmatched among his peers. No medium to large predator in the coastal seas could stand against him in direct combat. 100 evolution points. I will take it step by step. Next, I will scour the entire coastal and mid-water zones. Sharks, giant fish, every huntable living creature. I will devour them all. Once I gather enough evolution points to advance to the second tier, I will stand a chance to dominate these seas. Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers away, Shangjing City of the Great Xia Federation. The penthouse of the ultra-luxury Cloud Platinum residence. Floor-to-ceiling panoramic glass windows overlooked the bustling metropolis. The interior was thermostatically controlled and quiet. Its minimalist, cool, white decor carrying an air of icy detachment. Inside the spacious bedroom, atop a soft large bed, an extraordinarily beautiful woman with an otherworldly aura suddenly fluttered her eyelashes and slowly opened her eyes. This was Jiang Jinxi, the top-tier female tycoon who presided over a business empire spanning finance, maritime trade, and technology, controlling hundreds of billions in assets. She also ranked among the top 3 on the Great Xia Federation's list of most stunning women. Jiang Jinxi jolted upright in bed. Her thin silk nightwear was soaked through with cold sweat. Her limbs felt stiff. Deep within her soul, the excruciating pain of being corroded, crushed, and consumed by the filth of the old days felt as real as if it had happened only a moment before. Am I alive? She gasped for breath, her pupils contracting sharply as she stared blankly at her surroundings. The familiar room, the familiar fragrance, the familiar night view of the city. No blood, red moon hung in the sky above an apocalyptic wasteland. No world overrun by mutated monsters. Nor was she trapped in that despair-stricken world polluted by evil gods and bathed in bloodshed. She was back. Jiang Jinxi pressed a hand against her pounding heart. Countless horrific, desperate, brutal memories flooded her mind. Great Xia calendar year 2028. Outer realm evil gods shattered the barriers and descended. Endless corruption from the old ones swept across Blue Star. What people had anticipated as a spiritual energy revival had turned into an apocalyptic catastrophe. The world's fundamental laws collapsed. Modern heavy weaponry became completely ineffective. Humanity's centuries, old martial arts, mystical arts, and technology proved helpless against the bizarre laws of the old ones. Monsters and mutated creatures ran rampant, slaughtering countless lives. Human souls were corrupted and bodies torn apart. Billions of people perished, and human civilization teetered on total annihilation. That was humanity's darkest, most hopeless year. Jiang Jinxi was one of the survivors who had clawed their way out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. When the end times arrived, she awakened a one-of-a-kind phoenix bloodline. She cultivated the supreme Scripture 9, Heaven Nirvana Phoenix Emperor Canon. She fought and experienced Nirvana time and again, rising from an ordinary person all the way to the pinnacle of human combat strength. In the later stages of the past apocalypse, the most mysterious and powerful human organization quietly emerged, the Divine Court. No one knew who had founded it. No one knew what being stood behind its curtain. It seemed to appear out of nowhere, gathering the strongest martial artists across humanity, silently guarding the largest evil god rifts across the land. It stood as humanity's sole, undying hope. Within the Divine Court stood 4 top-tier warriors at the absolute peak of human power, honored by the world as the 4 divine emperors. Jiang Jinxi was one of them, titled the Phoenix Emperor. She had survived countless brutal battles to reach that position. Yet even with the Divine Court standing firm and the 4 emperors fighting desperately to contain the rifts, humanity could not halt the full-scale invasion of the evil gods. For the power of the outer realm evil gods belonged to a dimension entirely separate from this world. There was one single variable, the unfathomably deep ocean depths of Blue Star, untouched by almost all life. After the apocalypse began, everyone could faintly sense it. Deep beneath the seas slumbered a supreme myth, level native existence of this world. It never came forth to save humanity, never interfered in mortal conflicts, yet it silently guarded the primary evil, God rift beneath the four seas. This single being held back the greater part of the demonic tide. Tragically, when the main avatar of the evil god descended, endless corruption engulfed the deep sea. That supreme entity finally exhausted its strength and fell into silence, never to awaken again. Without the deep sea counterweight, the divine court could no longer hold the line and collapsed entirely. All four emperors perished, and countless human lives were lost. Jiang Jinsi herself had her soul shattered and died amid the final catastrophe. That despair, I never want to endure it again. Jiang Jinsi's fingertips trembled faintly, icy world, weariness flashing in her eyes. She spun her head sharply toward the vintage wall calendar. The bright red date was stark and clear, August 1st, 2027. Exactly 1 year remained until the blood-red moon rose, the evil gods broke through, and the full-scale apocalypse descended. I have been reborn. Shock surged through Jiang Jinsi, and irrepressible joy welled up inside her. This was not the hopeless late stage when nothing could be reversed. Disaster had yet to sprout, rifts had yet to expand, corruption had yet to spread. Every tragedy could still be averted. In her past life, she had started too late, grown too slowly, and stepped onto the stage far too late. By the time she joined the divine court and rose to become the Phoenix Emperor, the tide of fate had already turned irredeemable. This life was different. She carried 3 full years of apocalyptic memories, knowledge of monster weaknesses, patterns of corruption, supreme cultivation experience, and all the hidden secrets of the world. The divine court has not yet appeared. That supreme deep sea being still slumbers. The evil god rifts are still in their infancy. Everything is still possible. Jiang Jinsi's gaze sharpened like a blade. She knew exactly how the next year would unfold. Spiritual energy would grow denser. Worldwide anomalies would multiply. Unexplained disappearances, bizarre deaths, and biological mutations would begin to occur. Ordinary people would dismiss them as accidents. Authorities would treat them merely as security incidents. No one would notice hell taking root in the mortal realm. That would continue until 2028, when the blood-red moon filled the sky and the apocalypse officially arrived. At that same time, a combat ranking system fit for all of Blue Star would be fully unveiled. Ordinary, iron, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, emperor, myth. In her past life, humanity's strongest fighters had only ever reached the peak of the emperor tier. No one had ever touched the myth tier. Only the colossal deep sea creature sleeping in the trillion-meter deep ocean had been Blue Star's sole myth level trump card. Jiang Jinsi took a deep breath and steadied her surging emotions. To defy fate in this new life, to make early contact with the future divine court, to locate that ultimate hidden trump card in the deep sea, and to protect humanity, she had to take her first step. She must rapidly resume cultivating the 9 Heaven Nirvana Phoenix Emperor Canon. This SSS, ranked divine art, could purify the filth of the old ones, burn mutated flesh and blood, and counter the laws of the evil gods. There was one problem. Spiritual energy was still far too thin in the present age. Ordinary cultivation would progress far too slowly. She would not make it in time. She had to set up high-rank spirit, gathering formations to draw out and compress spiritual energy, so she could regain high-tier combat power as fast as possible. I need resources, and I need them now. Knock, knock, knock. A knock came at the door as Jiang Jinsi pondered. She composed herself and spoke softly. Come in. The door opened gently. A graceful figure stepped inside and drew all eyes. The woman was Qian Wanli, Jiang Jinsi's young aunt. 27 years old, she wore a black sleeveless silk nightdress of soft, fine fabric that outlined her elegant figure. She had a slender waist and long legs, and skin so fair it seemed almost translucent. Her long black hair was loosely tied up, with a few stray strands falling across her pale neck, lending her a relaxed, gentle charm. She presented a striking contrast to the outside world. To others, Qian Wanli was a capable, decisive business leader who controlled half the Jiang family's enterprises. Only in front of Jiang Jinsi did she show her more easy-going, playful side. In the apocalypse of the past life, this woman had stood by her side without fail, fighting alongside her until her final death on the battlefield. Qian Wanli leaned toward the bed. Her warm breath brushed Jiang Jinsi's ear, and she spoke in a light, teasing tone. Little Jinxie, you slept the whole afternoon and finally woke up? Why do you look so shaken? Did you have a strange dream? Jiang Jinxie did not play along. She looked straight at her aunt, her tone utterly solemn. Aunt, please listen to me. Bring every piece of ice, type jade, high, grade jadeite, and spirit, material ornament from the house up here. Leave none behind. Some of the amusement faded from Qian Wanli's face. She looked confused. All of them. Those are your billions, worth private collections. What are you doing? Are you suddenly intent on reckless spending? Qian Wanli knew Jiang Jinxie well. After her sister and brother-in-law died in a car accident, the $100 billion Jiang family conglomerate had fallen onto Jinxie's shoulders. Years of cut-throat business dealings had made her calm, rational, and prudent. She never acted on impulse for no reason. Jiang Jinxie's gaze was firm, every word earnest. This is not reckless spending. This is about saving lives. Not only mine, but countless other people's lives in the future. I cannot explain everything right now. Trust me, I need all these spirit materials here within half an hour. I need to cultivate. Qian Wanli saw the unprecedented weight and weariness deep in her niece's eyes. A strange tremor passed through her heart. She asked no further questions and nodded crisply, her soft voice resolute. Very well. I will go to the storage vault personally to take inventory. I will fill this room with them in 20 minutes at most. She turned and left with fluid grace. Silence returned to the bedroom. Jiang Jinxie walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and gazed out at the endless night, her eyes heavy. In my past life, I fought all the way to become the Phoenix Emperor, yet I could not turn the tide. Reborn in this life, I step onto the board early. I will await the rise of the divine court, seek out that colossal deep-sea being, use the trump cards of the old world to suppress the evil, God rifts, and hold back the corruption of the old ones. I will strangle the apocalypse of 2028 with my own hands. Though perhaps, for now, the most important thing is whether I can find him ahead of time. 20 minutes slipped by. Light footsteps echoed in the corridor, followed by soft, orderly sounds. A dozen figures approached the door. At the window, Jiang Jinxie pulled her gaze away from the night outside and waited quietly. The door opened. Qian Wanli walked in first, still in her black, sleeveless silk nightdress. Her skin glowed fair, and her features carried a soft warmth. She stood with her hands behind her back, a faint smile playing on her lips. Behind her came 12 capable female household staff, each holding a custom red, sandalwood tray. The trays were piled high with precious treasures. Ice, type jadeite, highly translucent warm jade, old, mine rough stones, century, old spirit, imbued ornaments. Each piece of jade glowed softly under the indoor lighting. Faint wisps of spiritual energy hovered above them. These were the finest natural spirit materials of this early spiritual energy revival era. Dozens of trays spread out across the floor, filling the bedroom space. The collection was worth billions, enough to drive wealthy tycoons wild with envy. Jinxie, check them over. Qian Wanli stepped aside, her voice gentle and indulgent. Every high dash, medium, and low-grade spirit, jade rough stone from our vault is here. 230, 6 pieces in total, not one missing. The 12 maids stood respectfully behind her. They were the Jiang family's most trusted private staff, utterly loyal and disciplined. Jiang Jinxie's gaze swept across the mound of spirit materials. A hint of satisfaction flickered in her eyes. In the apocalypse to come, these objects now treated as luxury decorations would become cultivation treasures beyond price. Ordinary people saw them only as ornaments and value, preserving collectibles. They did not know that as spiritual energy revived, natural jade could store, gather, and nurture spiritual energy. They were the perfect medium for human martial artists to lay their cultivation foundations in this era. Spiritual energy tainted by evil, God corruption carried subtle distortions. Absorbing it directly could damage one's soul and plant seeds of mutation. Only the pure, gentle spiritual energy sealed within jade held no taint. It was perfectly suited for her 9, Heaven Nirvana Phoenix Emperor canon. This divine art was extremely demanding regarding spiritual energy and inherently rejected the filth of the old ones. Absorbing ordinary impure spiritual energy would not only slow her cultivation, but also hinder the awakening of her phoenix bloodline. Only spiritual energy refined from spirit, jade could rapidly mature her phoenix bloodline and temper her nirvana foundation. You may set them all down. Jiang Jinxie spoke calmly. Yes, miss. The 12 maids responded in unison. They neatly arranged the trays, bowed and quietly withdrew, closing the door behind them. Once more, Only Jiang Jinsi and Qian Wanli remained in the large bedroom. Spirit, jade lay spread across the floor, casting soft milky, white glows. The concentration of spiritual energy in the air visibly thickened. Qian Wanli walked over to Jiang Jinsi and gently stroked the top of her head, her manner affectionate. Curiosity colored her tone. Now can you tell me what all this is about? You emptied out billions worth of treasures. This is far more than a trivial game. Outwardly a sharp business leader controlling the Jiang family's $100 billion empire, she was endlessly soft-hearted toward the niece she had watched grow up. Jiang Jinsi lifted her eyes. Her cold features softened a little. She slipped an arm through Qian Wanli's and acted with a rare touch of youthful innocence, her voice lowered. Dear aunt, I am not wasting money. This really is about saving lives, mine, and many others. I need you to help me with one more thing. Seeing her niece's rare display of vulnerability, Qian Wanli's heart melted. She laughed helplessly. Very well, my young lady. Tell me, if it is within my power, I will do it. A sharp glint appeared in Jiang Jinsi's eyes, and she spoke earnestly. Deploy every channel of the Jiang family, plus grandfather's connections. Acquire natural jade, jadeite, rough stones, and spirit-imbued ornaments across the entire Great Xia Federation without regard for cost or quantity. Buy everything, no matter its quality or price. Leave none on the market. Qian Wanli's smile faded. Unlimited spending, ignoring quality, buying up stock nationwide. This was no ordinary hoarding. It was near monopolistic mass purchasing. She frowned slightly. Jinsi, do you realize how much capital this will consume? Billions will barely suffice. There is no commercial return at all. This is an enormous loss. Jiang Jinsi met her gaze, her every word clear and resolute. It looks like a loss in the short term. Within 1 year, these things will be priceless. And, trust me, this will be the most stable, profitable investment I will ever make. The world of spiritual energy is changing. These jades will be the foundation of cultivation and the capital for survival in troubled times. She did not elaborate on evil gods, the apocalypse, or corruption. To do so would only plunge Qian Wanli into unnecessary fear. But she had to stockpile spirit materials while peace still reigned and the world remained ignorant. Once the apocalypse arrived in 1 year, even shards of jade would be strategic resources people would fight and kill over. Qian Wanli met her niece's heavy, sincere gaze. A strange premonition stirred within her. She knew Jiang Jinsi's character well, mature, calculating, and never one to speak empty madness. Coupled with the weary sharpness she had seen in Jinsi's eyes after waking, she sensed her niece truly foresaw some enormous catastrophe. Very well. After a short silence, Qian Wanli's voice turned solemn. I will immediately mobilize all domestic and overseas Jiang family funds and open full-scale purchasing channels. I will also call my father right away. He can draw upon federal official resources to conduct urgent nationwide collection. Within 3 days, I will build you a mountain of spirit jade. No one understood the weight of her father's position better than she. Jiang Jinsi's maternal grandfather was a top-ranking power holder within the Great Xia Federation's central government. With a single order, he could mobilize national-level resources far more efficiently than ordinary commercial channels. This was Jiang Jinsi's greatest source of confidence for her large-scale hoarding. With her grandfather's influence in the central government, all her future plans and early warnings would stand a chance of being implemented. Thank you, Aunt. Warmth welled up in Jiang Jinsi's heart. In the apocalypse of her past life, many had betrayed her, each person looking only to survive for themselves. Only her aunt had fought beside her until her dying breath. In this life, he would surely protect her and grant her lifelong peace. Silly girl, why be so formal with your aunt? Qian Wanli ruffled her hair and spoke gently in admonishment. I shall attend to matters right away. Stay safely in this room and do not wander off. Call for me at once should you need anything. Jiang Jinsi nodded obediently. Qian Wanli moved with graceful poise, turned and departed in quick strides, closing the door behind her. Click! The soft sound of the lock falling into place sealed the room completely, cutting off all outside disturbance. Alone at last, Jiang Jinsi cast aside every trace of her demure act. All warmth faded from her eyes. Only the calm, sharp resolve forged through the end of world catastrophe remained. The cultivation technique she practiced, the 9 Heaven Nirvana Phoenix Emperor Canon, also bore a shorter title, the Phoenix Emperor Canon. It was an SSS rank art bestowed upon her by the mysterious hidden ruler of the Divine Court after she joined the faction in her past life, a treasure rarely seen across the world. Even within the Divine Court, Only 4 sovereigns cultivated techniques of such caliber. The Phoenix Emperor canon was a supreme practice that drew spiritual energy through one's bloodline, tempered the flesh with true fire, and refined the body via nirvanic rebirth. The spiritual energy slowly reviving across heaven and earth was far too crude. It would instead hinder the awakening of her phoenix bloodline. Jade stones were therefore required to supplement the process. Jiang Jinsi paced to the center of the bedroom. She sat cross-legged, her figure upright as snow. Her hands formed the exclusive Phoenix Emperor seal, faint crimson glimmers curling around her fingertips. 9. Heaven Nirvana, draw spirit, and burn away all filth. She murmured softly. In the next instant, the jades, rough gemstones, and jade ornaments scattered across the floor trembled all at once. Pure spiritual essence sealed deep within the stones was forcibly drawn out and stripped away. Countless wispy strands of milky, white spiritual energy answered as if summoned by an emperor. They surged in from every direction, swirling around Jiang Jinsi. Unlike the chaotic, polluted spiritual energy of the outer world, this essence refined from spirit jades was pure, warm, and entirely free of distortion or taint. Thread after thread poured into her body through her pores, orifices, and meridians. The 9. Heaven Nirvana Phoenix Emperor canon activated of its own accord. The long, dormant phoenix bloodline within her burst to life, ignited by the flood of pristine spiritual energy. Hum. A low hum reverberated from deep inside her. A wisp of faint yet fiercely blazing crimson phoenix fire ignited within her dantian. Phoenix fire was inherently bane to evil gods. It burned corruption and cleansed defilement. Strands of spiritual energy were forged, purified and renewed by the phoenix fire, washing through her limbs, bones, and sinews. Spiritual energy scoured her flesh, phoenix fire tempered her foundation, and her bloodline awakened layer by layer. Time slipped by. A full day and night passed in closed-door cultivation. One day later, a violent storm of spiritual energy erupted inside the bedroom. Boom! An invisible shockwave exploded outward, sweeping through the whole chamber. Every jade on the floor lost its luster, crumbling into dull gravel and fine powder that showered down. All spiritual essence stored within had been fully absorbed by Jiang Jinsi. Seated in the center of the room, the young girl opened her eyes abruptly. 2 streaks of crimson phoenix radiance flickered and vanished in her pupils. Her cool bearing was now layered with an unyielding, blazing dominance. Powerful, condensed aura bloomed steadily from her body. Late black, iron tier, merely one day and one night. Starting from no foundation at all, she had broken through the very first combat tier defined by the Great Xia Federation after spiritual energy's revival. An ordinary warrior from her past life would need no less than half a month of arduous practice to reach black, iron tier from scratch. Drawing on the Phoenix Emperor canon, her Phoenix bloodline, and the massive supply of spirit jades, she had advanced in a single day. Truly, the Phoenix Emperor canon granted by that mysterious lord of the divine court lives up to its formidable reputation. Jiang Jinsi rose slowly and stretched her limbs. Her bones crackled in fine, crisp succession. Her physical prowess, soul refinement, and spiritual energy reserves had all surged comprehensively. What delighted her most was that the phoenix fire in her dantian had stabilized completely. From this moment onward, she possessed the power to actively purify old-world corruption and burn twisted monsters. In the early days of the apocalypse, this was an unrivaled ace in the hole for survival. Black iron tier is far from enough, yet it will serve for the time being. Jiang Jinsi's eyes shone bright as her thoughts raced. Common, black iron, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, sovereign myth. Black iron tier marked the threshold stepping into supernatural power. She had now fully transcended mortal bounds. She wielded genuine supernatural combat strength, and with it, the qualification to alert Great Xia's central government of the impending apocalypse. I cannot wait any longer. The rifts spewing evil god power are set to expand across the whole realm, and the first wave of twisted catastrophe draws near. There is precious little time left. Strange disappearances will soon grow frequent across every region. The authorities must prepare in advance, establish wartime readiness, stockpile supplies, and monitor the rifts. Jiang Jinsi hesitated no more. She picked up the encrypted private line cell phone resting on the side table. This device linked directly to the highest seats of power in the Great Xia Federation, a confidential channel reserved solely for her and her maternal grandfather. Her fingers tapped out the call. Beep. Beep. The call connected instantly. From the receiver came a steady, august, aged voice, seasoned by high office, softened with fond affection. My little Jinsi, what a pleasant surprise. Why are you calling out of the blue? This top-tier elder who had served within Great Xia's central government for decades, whom countless senior officials bowed to greet, reserved nothing but tenderness for his granddaughter. Zhang Jinsi drew a deep breath, steadying her emotions, and spoke with grave solemnity. Grandfather, I bring matters of utmost gravity concerning the survival of all Great Xia, of all humankind. I must meet you and every high-ranking member of the central government at once. The situation brooks no delay. I am heading for the central government compound today. The warm amusement on the other end of the line vanished in an instant. A brief silence fell, and a heavy sense of authority seemed to surge through the receiver. Do you comprehend the weight of your words? I understand every consequence. Zhang Jinsi's tone held unwavering resolve. Grandfather, doomsday draws near. Evil gods descend upon the mortal world. Catastrophe looms, and only 1 year remains. I possess cultivation arts to save mankind, supernatural combat power, and full foreknowledge of every coming disaster. I can save Great Xia. I can save its people. Furthermore, even your rank of authority may be insufficient to handle this crisis. I require audience with figures standing higher within the central government's power structure. Silence lingered for several seconds on the other end. Then an unyielding tone carrying authority to command the central government boomed forth. At once, a special combat helicopter of the central government, alongside maximum-level security and clearance privileges, will arrive at the villa in 10 minutes. I shall awake you personally, granddaughter. At that very moment, deep within the ocean, frigid crystal seawater washed over Lu Ming's massive 2,000-kilogram orca body. His dense, hardened skin shrugged off crushing water pressure. Reinforced by his iron blood skeleton trait, water resistance against his form was drastically reduced. With a gentle flick of his tail fluke, he held steady amid the ocean currents. His posture looked relaxed, yet radiated the innate menace of one of the ocean's apex predators. Lu Ming quieted his mind, stirred his soul, and summoned the interface of his exclusive devour system within his thoughts. Host, Lu Ming species, Orca subadult, low-rank ferocious beast age, 5 days since rebirth lifespan, 80 years species limit unlocked, may rise through evolution weight, 2000 kg tier, rank 1 low-rank ferocious beast. Physique, iron blood skeleton comprehensive twofold enhancement, densified bone, amplified muscle power, heightened skin compression resistance, partial immunity to water pressure soul. Intact human soul thought, cognition, and perception far surpass wild marine creatures. Talents. Boundless Devour unique supreme talent. Iron blood skeleton permanent passive evolution points. 76.68/100 evolution threshold raised available evolution paths. To be unlocked next stage special restrictions. Cannot shift into human form for now. Permanently bound to Orca true body. Only 24.32 evolution points separated him from his second full-scale species evolution. He would break past his current subadult bottleneck. Lu Ming's mind worked with crystal clarity. Over these past few days, he had hunted continuously across this continental shelf stretch of sea. Small to medium fish stocks in these waters had been largely depleted. The remaining sardines, small mackerel, and minuscule lanternfish yielded minimal value as prey. Their small bodies held scant energy, each granted less than 0.5 evolution points. Chasing them wasted stamina and would drastically slow his progress toward evolution. If he wished to amass points quickly and hit the threshold, he needed to move to ocean zones where currents converged and prey teemed. He would hunt medium-sized pelagic predatory fish. It is time to move my hunting grounds. Once his resolve was set, Lu Ming's powerful tail fluke exploded with force. Multiplied by the amplified muscle strength from iron blood skeleton, his 2,000-kilogram streamlined orca body shot forward like a deep-sea torpedo. He cleaved through heavy currents, his low, drag form carving a dark, sharp silhouette through the water. After more than 10 minutes of high-speed travel, Lu Ming covered several kilometers of ocean. He reached the transition zone between coastal waters and the open sea. Warm and cold currents mingled here, brimming with plankton. This was the richest feeding ground across the nearby seas. Medium-sized predatory fish gathered in great numbers. Prey density far outstripped his previous hunting grounds. Of course, great game brings great risk. This area clearly holds far more dangers and far stronger hunters. With that thought, Lu Ming lowered his body, concealing himself within dim, deep water. He masked his presence amid the noise of ocean currents, ready to commence non-stop hunting. His priority targets were medium, sized predatory fish measuring over 2 meters long, bodies brimming with energy. Hunting such prey would maximize his efficiency. Sneak up silently, unleash explosive force. Hunt, devour, harvest. All in one fluid sequence. Ding. Devoured large king mackerel, body length 2.3 meters. Firm flesh rich in energy. Evolution points plus 2.36 ding. Devoured spotted skipjack tuna. Pelagic predator with explosive power. Evolution points plus 1.92 ding. Devoured black rockfish. Benthic predator with tough bone structure. Evolution points plus 1.17. Ding. Devoured amberjack. School. Hunting predatory fish. Evolution points plus 1.53 ding. Devoured short. Fin squid. Deep. Sea mollusk. Minor soul gang. Evolution points plus 0.98. System notifications chimed one after another inside his mind. Lu Ming's evolution points climbed steadily and rapidly. 76.68, 79.04, 80.96, 82.13, 83.66, 84. 64. Within mere minutes, several medium-sized marine predators had become his sustenance. No prey could escape the ambush of a sub-adult orca. Wild orcas already possessed some of the ocean's finest skills for ambushing, locking hold, and breaking spines. Coupled with Lu Ming's human-level tactical foresight, precise positioning, and the overwhelming physical advantage granted by iron, blood skeleton, ordinary predators of these waters stood virtually no chance to resist. Still, Lu Ming avoided greed and overextending himself. He struck selectively at high-value targets and eliminated all unnecessary exertion. After a quick scan of his surroundings, he locked onto 2 more prime targets and attacked once more. One was a 2.2-meter-long bonito, thick-bodied and exceptionally fast, famed as a short-distance sprinter of coastal waters. Lu Ming did not chase it head-on. Instead, he anticipated its escape route in advance, maneuvering across the current to block every avenue of retreat. By the time the bonito sensed danger and surged to flee, escape was already impossible. Lu Ming burst forth at top speed. His sharp conical teeth sank home, piercing straight through its torso and shattering its spine. The violently thrashing body went still instantly and was swallowed whole. Ding. Devoured bonito. Evolution points plus 2.11 evolution points. 86.75 moments later, his senses picked up a nearly 3-meter yellowfin tuna in the distance. Yellowfin tuna were dominant pelagic predators, capable of short bursts reaching 70 kilometers per hour. They excelled in both speed and stamina, out of reach for most ordinary hunters. Yet against Lu Ming, who thought with human tactical intellect, those advantages meant nothing. Lu Ming circled stealthily through depth layers, staying out of its line of sight, and cut off the angle of escape. The instant the tuna attempted to change direction, he surged out of hiding. His massive orca head blocked its path. Sharp teeth clamped firmly onto its torso. Jaws tore deep. Blood billowed out into the seawater. Ding. Devoured yellowfin tuna. Evolution points plus 3.07 evolution points. 89.82. After consuming the tuna, Lu Ming assessed the remaining prey nearby, most offering modest gains, fit only for quick cleanup. Ding. Devoured scorpionfish. Evolution points plus 0.83 ding. Devoured silver pomfret. Evolution points plus 1.24 ding. Devoured large deep sea eel. Dense, highly resilient muscle tissue. Evolution points plus 2.65 as cleanup hunt concluded. Evolution points settled at 90.42/100. Only 9.58 points separated him from the threshold for his second evolution. So close now. Excitement stirred within Lu Ming. He adjusted his posture, preparing to give chase to a distant barracuda to fill the last gap for evolution. The very moment he was about to move, a shrill, high-frequency disturbance rippled through the seawater, striking from 300 meters astern. It moved with tremendous velocity and impact, carrying unmistakable hostility and killing intent. Lu Ming's soul snapped to full alert. His gaze sharpened. He twisted his huge orca body, rotating 180 degrees to face the source of the threat. The next second, a gleaming, elongated giant silhouette sliced through dim ocean currents, charging straight toward him. A full-grown swordfish, Xiphias gladius, the sole species of its family, a top-tier high-speed pelagic predator, and the deadliest solitary fish in coastal waters. This specimen was a peak-condition adult. Its total length neared 4 meters. Though its exact mass could not be gauged precisely, Its frame marked it as a fully mature wild swordfish at the height of its power. Its body formed an optimized spindle shape, compressed along the sides, packed with dense muscle fiber built for explosive force. It bore no scales or excess bulk. Most lethal of all was its upper jaw, extended into a roughly 1-meter bony rostrum. Hardened to the density of high-grade alloy, it was sharp, pressure-resistant, and built for ramming. This rostrum served as its single most devastating weapon for hunting and defense. Its tail was a rigid crescent fluke set atop a thick caudal peduncle, built to stabilize extreme bursts of swimming speed. In short sprints, it could hit 120 kilometers per hour, ranking it among the fastest fish in the seas. Unlike predators that relied on biting and tearing, adult swordfish had no functional teeth for chewing. Their fighting style was ferocious and straightforward. High-speed charges, horizontal slashes, and direct piercing thrusts. When attacking schools of fish, they would surge into the shoal, sweeping their rostrum to stun and gash prey. When confronting larger foes, they unleashed deadly piercing strikes leveraging their phenomenal speed. Their hardened rostrum could punch through skin, muscle, and internal organs of hundreds-kilogram marine creatures, and even smash thick wooden hulls of fishing boats. Within the marine food web, fully grown peak-conditioned swordfish were dangerous loners. Solitary, ferocious, highly territorial, and prone to unprovoked aggression. A lone adult orca encountering one would normally have no choice but flee. Only coordinated orcapods could bring such prey down. Direct one-on-one combat carried an extremely high fatality risk. Charging at full tilt, the swordfish's rostrum could pierce an ordinary orca's skin and deliver crippling, life-threatening penetrating wounds to internal organs. To run straight into a peak-conditioned adult swordfish. Lu Ming grew solemn. He abandoned his plan to chase smaller fish. This adult swordfish represented high-tier prey, far more valuable than ordinary fish. Yet he understood perfectly well he must never take its charging thrust head-on. The swordfish's entire strength resided in its full-speed linear dash and piercing rostrum strike. It had glaring weaknesses. Tremendous inertia built up during high-speed rushes left it little room to adjust course. Its flanks and rear constituted blind spots, and it could not sustain peak output for long. Lu Ming benefited from iron blood skeleton, granting superior physical resistance, endurance, awareness of currents, and tactical reasoning. The only thing he needed to avoid was that single fatal piercing blow. The seawater churned violently. 300 meters away, that nearly 4-meter peak-conditioned adult swordfish finished building momentum for its ultimate charge. Its streamlined body tensed to the limit. Dense muscle fibers detonated with power. Its tail fluke thrashed the seawater, whipping up visible swirling turbulence. It hit its peak instantaneous burst speed of 120 kilometers per hour, comparable to vehicles traveling along a highway, far outstripping the maximum output of any other predator in these waters. The swordfish's hunting logic was simple, brutal, and devastating. No drawn-out brawling, no feints. One decisive thrust settled life and death. Its 1-meter bony rostrum, akin to an alloy spear, aimed straight for Lu Ming's huge orca body. Carrying terrifying, piercing momentum, it tore through dark seawater and homed in for the kill. Water was forced aside by its speeding form. Pressure built in layers ahead of it, forming a crushing hydraulic barrier. Should an ordinary adult orca meet this charge head-on, it would suffer internal organ trauma and torn skin from the brute hydraulic force alone, before the rostrum even made contact. Truly a peak-conditioned adult swordfish. Its explosive power and sprint speed represent the absolute ceiling for coastal predators. Lu Ming held his massive orca body steady in deep water. His mind stayed cool, without the slightest trace of panic. In his previous life, Lu Ming had read hundreds of stories depicting fierce combat and life-or-death clashes. Though those fictional fighting instincts were not etched into his mind, he understood a fundamental truth of mortal combat. Victory was not decided solely by who possessed greater raw strength or speed. Instead, he needed to grasp his foe's weaknesses, evade lethal killing blows, and lock down the battle at minimal cost. He understood the swordfish's fatal flaws better than anyone. Its peerless straight-line dash came at the cost of near-zero turning tolerance. Its explosive burst speed was offset by extremely limited stamina and a vulnerable post-dash recovery window. All its offensive and defensive power was concentrated in its rostrum, leaving its flanks and rear completely exposed to deadly attacks. This was a top-tier predator, invincible head-on, yet riddled with openings. Do you think a single piercing strike will kill me? How naive. A cold, fierce glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. His 2,000-kilogram iron-blooded whale body retreated instead of charging forward, its tail fin making precise, small, amplitude motions. No frantic flight, no panicky evasion. Large-scale movement would churn the water and reveal his trajectory, playing right into the swordfish's dash prediction. Using ocean currents for cushioning, he tilted his body 45 degrees, aligning perfectly with the flow of the water to minimize his frontal target area. At the same time, his iron-blooded frame tensed fully. Skin, muscle, and bone layered to withstand pressure, preemptively dissipating the crushing force of the oncoming seawater. In less than a second, boom, the swordfish closed in at blistering speed. Its 1-meter bony rostrum stabbed hard toward Lu Ming's original core position. Terrifying kinetic energy churned surging currents, and the surrounding seawater roiled as if boiling. Yet whoosh, it missed by a hair's breadth. The instant the swordfish struck, Lu Ming slipped into its most vulnerable moment. Peak dash momentum with its turning mechanism completely locked. The speeding swordfish could not halt. Its massive body shot several meters forward by inertia, its killing strike utterly wasted. As it surged past, its fully unguarded left flank lay wide open before Lu Ming's gaze. A fatal opening. Now, Lu Ming's mind sharpened. He cast aside all unnecessary movement, and his hunting instincts surged to their peak. Millennia, old orca hunting techniques merged flawlessly with the tactical foresight of a human mind. His powerful tail fin erupted with full force, and his iron, hard muscles unleashed their full explosive power. His enormous whale body closed the gap in an explosive burst of short-range speed exceeding the swordfish's sustainable velocity. Like a shadow in the deep sea, he glued himself to the swordfish's blind spot at its rear flank. From this position, the swordfish could neither defend itself nor counterattack, an absolute death zone. The swordfish finally sensed mortal peril. Its tail thrashed wildly as it tried to twist around and stab with its rostrum. But muscle exhaustion and bodily rigidity left over from its high-speed dash rendered all its struggles futile. Too late. Squelch. Lu Ming's rows of sharp, white teeth bit down with pinpoint accuracy. No wild tearing, no reckless lunges. He locked firmly onto the spinal node at the midsection of the swordfish's body. This was the fish's nerve center, source of physical power, and the most fragile point along its spine. Crushing force from his iron-blooded frame exploded outward. Sharp teeth pierced dense muscle, ripped through tough skin, and clamped tight around the spinal bones. Crack! A faint, crisp sound of fracturing bone echoed softly through the deep water. The swordfish stiffened instantly. Its overworked muscles lost all control. The ferocious momentum of its charge dissolved, and all its strength drained away in an instant. Its spine was broken, its nerve center paralyzed. No matter how formidable its flesh or how incredible its speed, without spinal support it became a helpless, immobile body. Agony washed over it. The dying swordfish thrashed its tail and beat against the seawater, trying to shake free and counterattack in desperation. The water clouded with turbulence, and thin threads of blood spread outward. For all its ferocious display, it was only making death throes. Nothing more than a dying struggle. Lu Ming remained calm. Through countless hunts and fights, he knew better than most. On the battlefield, never trust a mortally wounded foe's last-ditch resistance. Never relax your vigilance for even a moment. Countless protagonists and stories had fallen, countless strong warriors had met ruin, all because they grew overconfident and neglected finishing blows. And many had perished simply because they wasted time on grand speeches. A fight was only the beginning. The finishing strike was what sealed victory. He did not loosen his jaws, nor did he seek to feed immediately. Holding fast to the broken spine, his massive whale body surged and wrenched its head violently. Rip! Flesh tore. Tendons snapped. A huge mass of tissue carrying sections of spine, nerves, and muscle was ripped clean away. Agony racked the prime swordfish, triggering silent, convulsive tremors. Its body spasmed violently, and blood stained a broad stretch of ocean red. Lu Ming pulled back slightly, keeping clear of the dying creature's wild flailing and waiting for its strength to ebb completely. Several seconds passed. The powerful adult swordfish's thrashing weakened. Its tail grew rigid, and the ferocity faded from its eyes, replaced by the dull haze of approaching death. Even so, Lu Ming did not lower his guard. So long as the hunt remained unfinished, vigilance could not fade. He darted in once more, targeting an extremely precise spot, the base of the swordfish's skull, where its rostrum connected to its head. The rostrum was its deadliest weapon. As long as that bony spear remained intact, even a mortally wounded swordfish could still slice through his skin with a glancing blow and inflict avoidable injury. In deep sea combat, even a minor wound could plant the seed for fatal misfortune later on. Eliminating every possible hazard was the creed of a top predator. Squelch. Another precise bite, crushing and tearing with full power. Bone at the base of the rostrum splintered, and its nerve pathways were fully severed. This time, every chance for a comeback, counterattack, or fatal last-minute injury was eliminated entirely. The enormous 4-meter swordfish hung motionless in the seawater, truly dead. The currents in the convergence zone slowly settled. Only wispy trails of red drifted through the water. Lu Ming flicked his tail fin gently and hovered beside his kill, his expression unreadable. A prime adult swordfish, one of the top predators of the coastal waters. Its value far exceeds ordinary fish, indeed. Without further delay, he seized the massive corpse and swam away from the main current. He headed toward a quiet stretch of sea with gentle undercurrents, where no large predators roamed. A successful hunt was only the first step. Protecting his spoils, consuming them fully, and harvesting every possible evolutionary benefit was the true objective. Moments later, he reached the safe waters. The area lay still and empty. Small fish and shrimp had scattered long ago, fleeing the aura of an apex predator. Lu Ming opened his jaws and began feeding at full capacity. His Orca, exclusive devour talent activated. Hard bone, dense muscle, tough hide, and powerful bloodline essence were all dissolved and consumed without trace. Time flowed by. 1.5 hours later, the corpse of the 4-meter-long dominant coastal swordfish had vanished completely. Not even bone fragments remained. Ding. Prime adult swordfish consumed. Target is a peak coastal predator. Flesh density, explosive power, and bone toughness far surpass ordinary marine life. Evolution points plus 50. His evolution points surged instantly. 90.42/100 140.42/100. Ding. Evolution threshold reached. Second full-scale species advancement evolution is now available. Second species advancement threshold exceeded. The successive system notifications sent faint ripples through Lu Ming's composed mind. 140.42 evolution points. That far surpassed the baseline requirement of 100 points for his second evolution. Surplus evolutionary potential would grant more thorough physical refinement and talent purification during this transformation. He would avoid the unstable foundations common to ordinary evolutions. Lu Ming understood perfectly. Evolution was not merely breaking through to a new stage. Greater foundational potential meant a higher ceiling for the future. Most ferocious beasts evolved simply to meet thresholds and grow stronger quickly. He intended to extract every ounce of benefit from each transformation, to consolidate his path and break the innate limits imposed by his species. Open status panel. At Lu Ming's thought, a translucent system interface unfolded in the deep sea, displaying his complete current condition. Host. Lu Ming species. Azure Tide Orca juvenile. High rank ferocious beast age. 5 days since birth lifespan. 80 years species limit unlocked. May increase with further evolution. Body weight. 2,300 kilograms body length. 4.5 m tier. Tier 1 high rank ferocious beast physique. Iron-blooded frame all-round doubled enhancement. Densified bone. Amplified muscular power. Reinforced skin resistance. Partial pressure immunity. Soul. Intact human soul intellect. Strategic thinking. Tactical foresight and combat experience surpass wild marine creatures' talents. Boundless devour unique supreme talent. Iron-blooded frame passive permanent. Evolution points. 140.42/100 threshold exceeded. Maximum evolutionary bonus available evolution paths. Second full-scale species advancement. Choose one of 3 special restriction. Cannot assume human form. Locked within native Orca body. Staring at the excess evolution points, Lu Ming's eyes brightened. His first evolution had pulled him out of the fragility of infancy, granting him basic coastal survival and hunting capability. This second advancement marked a critical turning point, carrying him beyond the scope of an ordinary orca toward becoming a true top ocean predator. Most importantly, his surplus evolutionary potential unlocked distinct exclusive evolution options, rather than the generic enhancements afforded to common living beings. Display evolution options. Without hesitation, Lu Ming spoke in his mind. The seawater trembled faintly. 3 glowing white evolution choices materialized on the interface, each representing a drastically different developmental route. Option 1. Azure Tide Swift Swim Somatic Sense Evolution Effect. Fully restructure bodily streamlining. Eliminate drag-inducing folds across the skin surface. Gill oxygen absorption efficiency increased by 200%. Anaerobic endurance doubled. Tail fin muscle fibers iteratively strengthened. Explosive force and stroke power comprehensively upgraded. Swimming speed surges within coastal and mid-depth waters. Turning tolerance, instantaneous evasion, and high-speed pursuit capabilities undergo complete transformation. Few creatures of equivalent rank in the ocean can match you. Option 2. Spirit of the Azure Deep Soul Origin Evolution Effect. Purify the core of your human soul. Strip away mental constraints and sensory blind spots common to mortal beasts. Underwater current perception range expanded tenfold. Trace subtle shifts in ocean currents and water pressure to precisely track the movements of all living creatures within a 100-kilometer radius. Mental resistance greatly enhanced. Immunity to low-level illusions and mental intimidation. Ability to foresee hidden dangers such as deep-sea undercurrents, giant predators, and unknown threats. Hunting survival tolerance maximized. Option 3. Azure Tide Transcendence Species Origin Evolution Hidden Option Effect. Shatter the genetic locks of the native orca species. Cast aside the physical constraints of dolphin kind. Remold your body structure to that of an Azure Tide behemoth. Comprehensive mutation of stature, bone structure, fin, and torso proportions, departing from standard orca growth patterns. Partially unlock physical traits of ocean colossi. Mitigate innate weaknesses of cetacean physiology. 3 options, 3 destinies. The first 2 brought immediate, practical improvements to combat power and survivability for hunting. Azure Tide Swift Swim granted supreme speed, enabling unmatched pursuit and evasion in coastal waters. Spirit of the Azure Deep amplified soul-based perception, letting him detect danger across 100 kilometers and conduct flawless hunts. Both were excellent choices yielding immediate returns. Yet Lu Ming's gaze remained fixed firmly on the third hidden option, his eyes growing sharp with focus. The third entry contained the fewest words. But Lu Ming knew, fewer words often meant greater consequences. His ambitions were never confined to short-term ocean battles or quick power surges. No matter how strong an ordinary orca became, it remained merely a marine animal, bound by species limits, physical constraints, and inherent weaknesses. Greater speed or sharper perception would still leave him as a mortal orca. Azure Tide Transcendence was different. It represented root and branch transformation, reshaping his very species. It shattered genetic locks and broke the inherent upper limits of his race. Stories he had read in his past life had proven this truth time and again. True supreme power came not from stacking mediocre basic attributes, but from breaking shackles at the source and rewriting one's racial fate. Set aside immediate, quick fix combat strength. Wager on supreme future potential. Lu Ming's resolve solidified. No trace of indecision lingered. Speed and perception could gradually be improved through future hunts. An opportunity to transform one's species' origin came once in 1,000 years and would never return if wasted. Forbearance belongs to the mediocre. Hesitation is the fatal flaw of those who dare to strive for greatness. Go all in. I stake everything. System, I choose option 3, Azure Tide Transcendence. Ding. Host has selected evolution path, Azure Tide Transcendence. Excess evolution points detected. This transformation triggers the effect ultimate refinement. Bodily reconstruction, gene dissociation, and origin metamorphosis will receive maximum bonus benefits. Estimated evolution duration, 40 minutes. Please select an absolutely safe stretch of ocean. Avoid risks during the immobile evolution window. Hearing the system prompt, Lu Ming declined to evolve on the spot. In deep-sea combat, minor details decided life and death. Throughout evolution, his body would be rigid, his consciousness dormant. Immobile and defenseless, he would enter the most lethal vulnerable phase a predator could face. A seemingly calm patch of sea carried countless hidden dangers, sudden undercurrents, passing ocean-going predators, opportunistic beasts drawn by his presence, disturbance from human vessels. Any accident could interrupt evolution, damage his origin, and set back his power. Lu Ming flicked his tail and began searching carefully for a safe zone. Half an hour later, he arrived at a mid-coastal current zone sheltered by a lee cove. No vertical undercurrents, no turbulent current convergences. Encircling reefs formed a natural barrier blocking passage for large predators. Depth stood at roughly 27 meters, neither too shallow nor excessively deep. Water pressure remained stable, and the water was clear, free of murky sediment. Shadows cast by a nearby island covered the surface, offering excellent concealment from seabirds and distant observation. Lu Ming had cleared this area many times before. Small fish, bottom-dwelling beasts, and lurking predators had all been eliminated. No living creature existed within a 100-meter radius. He could quickly return to hunting grounds if needed, or retreat behind reefs and the island for defense. For his current stage, this was the lowest-risk location for evolution. Begin evolution. Lu Ming hovered at the center of the reef enclosure. His body relaxed completely, releasing all battle air tension held within his iron-blooded frame. Ding. Safe waters confirmed. All evolution conditions perfectly satisfied. Second species advancement. Azure Tide transcendence commences. Warm, dense white evolutionary radiance burst forth around Lu Ming, wrapping his entire whale body in layered light. The glow sealed in his energy and presence, isolating all outside interference. In the next instant, Lu Ming's consciousness sank deep within his mind, and his body entered rigid metamorphosis. Outside, earth-shaking bodily reconstruction quietly unfolded. First came changes to overall stature and length. His original 4.2-meter juvenile orca form stretched and expanded beneath the white radiance, reshaping before unseen eyes. His body abandoned the compact, stocky build of a standard orca, shifting toward the elongated, powerful streamline of a colossal sea beast. 4.2 m, 4.8 m, 5.5 m, 6 m. At last it stabilized at 6.2 meters. His body weight surged from 2,000 kilograms to 3,800 kilograms. He now far outsized wild orcas of equivalent age, surpassing most fully grown female orcas and approaching the standard for prime adult male individuals. Next came reconstruction of bone and torso. The thoracic limitations and short segment spinal constraints inherent to ordinary orcas were shattered. Vertebrae lengthened and joints restructured. Bodily flexibility and twisting explosive force doubled. Bone density increased once more. His iron-blooded frame advanced to a higher state. A faint, moist textural layer formed across his skin. Resistance against water pressure, piercing blows, and tearing attacks transformed comprehensively, specially adapted to withstand swordfish strikes, beast bites, and crushing pressure. The most dramatic changes befell his pectoral fins and tail fluke. His original short, fan-shaped pectoral fins departed from standard orca morphology. Fin bones extended and broadened. From under 1 meter in length, they transformed into nearly 2-meter-long blade-like wings. Sharp-edged and densely textured, they were no longer merely stabilizers for turning. They gained genuine close-quarters combat capability, capable of cleaving through water, delivering powerful blows, and rending flesh. His crescent-shaped tail fluke likewise advanced. Its base thickened, muscle fiber density tripled. Tail stroke explosive force, instantaneous propulsion, and turning agility were completely redefined. The inertial rigidity that had plagued high-speed sprints vanished entirely. Last came subtle shifts to his species origin. A faint azure glow lay dormant beneath his skin. The genetic locks binding his orca heritage cracked open. Innate limitations, physical constraints, and developmental barriers of the ordinary orca were partially loosened. The prototype of a true azure tide behemoth had taken shape. 40 minutes slipped past. Ding dong. Second species advancement complete. Azure Tide transcendence finished. Species origin remolded. Physique, size, bone structure, and origin power have all surged dramatically. Native orca genetic constraints partially broken. Restrictions blocking human form transformation greatly reduced. The pale radiance faded, merging fully into flesh and bone. Lu Ming's awareness returned instantly. His eyes flew open. A vast, domineering gleam, foreign to ordinary marine life, flickered briefly within the dim, deep-sea darkness. He moved his newly transformed blade like pectoral fins and upgraded tail fluke. Water flowed across his body with near-zero drag, unbelievably smooth. Previous lag during swimming, inertial drag while turning, and power gaps after sprinting were gone for good. Every inch of flesh, bone, and tissue brimmed with overwhelming power. His body had achieved a qualitative leap. Lu Ming focused his mind and called up his updated status panel. Host, Lu Ming species. Azure Tide Orca Behemoth Prototype. Mature ferocious beast age. 5 days since birth lifespan. 120 years species limit broken. Continuing to unlock body weight. 3,800 kilograms body length. 6.2 m tier. Tier 2 peak ferocious beast. Physique. Iron-blooded frame post-evolution advanced state, full pressure immunity. Greatly enhanced piercing resistance. doubled physical attack and defense, extreme improvement to bodily flexibility soul, intact human soul tactical intellect stabilized, fully compatible control over colossal body. Talents. Boundless Devour unique supreme talent, iron-blooded frame passive permanent, Azure Tide origin hidden passive evolution points, 40.42/1000 third tier evolution threshold raised special status, species constraints partially broken, Azure Tide behemoth path activated, lock on human form transformation loosened. Reading the updated panel, Lu Ming felt clear-headed. By rejecting short-term speed and perception bonuses, the transformation of his species' origin had granted improvements far exceeding the sum of the two alternative paths. The upper limits of an ordinary orca were now beneath him. Hunting within coastal waters is more than feasible now. Lu Ming's gaze drifted out toward the dark, unfathomable open ocean. That distant expanse housed ferocious sea beasts and would become the stage for his next phase of growth. From here on, accumulate evolution points, advance to Tier 3, and cast aside my mortal orca heritage completely. His massive Azure Tide orca body flicked its tail and surged forward through the water. His bearing was powerful and composed, radiating the imposing aura of a newly risen apex marine predator. He swam slowly toward the vast depths of the open ocean. At the exact moment Lu Ming set off toward the deep sea, 1,000 miles away, the power center of the Great Xia Federation, the Heavenly Pivot Secret Realm Conference Hall. This was the highest-level classified institution of Great Xia. It fell outside the civilian and military systems and remained unknown to the public. Its responsibilities included compiling global archives of extraordinary beings, monitoring spiritual energy fluctuations, studying the contamination of ancient particles from beyond Blue Star, and tracking ecological mutations across the planet. Naturally, there were no illusory paranormal disasters or nonsensical ferocious beast cataclysms recorded here. For now, it oversaw all abnormal extraordinary rules and unknown disturbances emerging in this era of Blue Star. The entire conference hall was cast from special black steel, capable of blocking all detection and surveillance, presenting a solemn and tranquil sight. Seated at the main seat was a stunning woman. She was Chu Qingning, the third guardian of the Great Xia Federation's power core. She held authority over extraordinary monitoring across the territory, coordinating all records of spiritual energy shifts, ancient contamination, and biological mutations. She ranked among the top leaders of Great Xia's extraordinary system. Tall and upright, she wore a dark-patterned silver-white standard uniform of the Central Authority. The sharp, neat lines of the outfit set off her snow-white skin and frosty eyes. Her beauty was breathtaking, yet devoid of any delicate softness. Having occupied supreme authority for years, she exuded an aloof, imposing aura of one in power. Cold, noble, and radiating authority, her facial features were strikingly beautiful all the same. She possessed the kind of peerless beauty unique to those who stood high above the masses, untouched by mortal trivialities and naturally commanding awe. Standing quietly beside Chu Qingning was a tall figure clad in black. It was Zhou Ku, a top national martial arts grandmaster at the Transcendent Realm specially recruited by the Federation. Dressed in black combat attire, he stood straight as a spear, his vitality fully restrained and hidden. His bones and tendons were tempered like refined steel, his fingertips covered in thick calluses forged from years of combat training. Zhou Ku favored no flashy techniques, specializing in close-quarters suppression and elimination. He was the Central Authority's most formidable physical bodyguard, silent as a blade, striking to kill whenever he moved. Below them stood two people, an elderly man and a young girl. The elderly man wore a suit and carried a poised, dignified bearing. He was Qian Nani, a senior leader of the Central Authority and Jiang Jinxi's maternal grandfather. Beside Qian Nani stood the young girl, slender and exquisite, with an unparalleled face and an ancient indifference lingering in her eyes. It was Jiang Jinxi, reborn from the future. Third guardian. Qian Nani bowed slightly, his greeting respectful and proper. Chu Qingning was his direct superior. She held the highest authority over extraordinary affairs, her status far surpassing civilian officials in the secular world. Chu Qingning gave a faint nod. Her voice was cool and pleasant, stripped of superfluous emotion. Elder Qian, you sent an urgent cross-rank confidential report overnight, claiming Blue Star is about to face a global surge of spiritual energy. The ancient barriers are weakening, and the ecosystem will undergo thorough mutation. Her tone was calm, yet carrying the weight of a senior leader of the Central Authority, filling the entire conference hall. Qiannani stepped aside to reveal Jiang Jinsi behind him and spoke earnestly. Guardian, this information is not my speculation. It is the future trend foreseen by my granddaughter Jiang Jinsi. It is completely accurate. Concerned for the fate of Blue Star, I dared not keep it hidden. Chu Qingming's indifferent gaze finally settled on Jiang Jinsi. Every pair of eyes in the room turned toward her. Any ordinary person facing the imposing aura of Great Xia's third guardian would inevitably grow tense and anxious. Yet Jiang Jinsi stood straight, her gaze calm and unwavering. She neither bowed, avoided their eyes, nor acted deferentially. She met Chu Qingming's gaze squarely. One must understand that in her previous life, Jiang Jinsi had been one of the 4 emperors of the Divine Court, cultivating the supreme Huang Emperor canon. Though Chu Qingming was a top guardian of Great Xia and held immense secular standing, when it came to rank, authority, and cultivation foundation, Jiang Jinsi stood fully equal to her, with every right to meet her gaze unyieldingly. After all, an emperor's pride would never bow to secular power. Seeing this, a nearly imperceptible flicker of surprise crossed Chu Qingming's eyes. She had served in the central authority for many years. She had met countless martial arts grandmasters, extraordinary talents, and political elites. Every single one showed reverence and unease in her presence. Only this young girl, still youthful, maintained unshakable composure. Chu Qingming could tell this was not reckless ignorance, but the calm indifference of someone standing on an equal footing. Evidently, Great Xia's youngest $100 billion tycoon truly lived up to her reputation and held secrets and power of her own. Are you the one predicting the spiritual energy surge, the breaking of ancient barriers, and Blue Star's mutation? Chu Qingming spoke cautiously, adhering to official rigor. The Central Authority monitors global spiritual energy levels year-round. At present, Blue Star's spiritual energy remains stable, with no signs of abnormal activity. Your claims of an incoming spiritual energy surge lack all supporting data. Forecasting planet-wide upheaval with nothing but words sounds far too unfounded. Jiang Jinsi's expression did not shift. Her tone remained cool and composed. The spiritual energy surge is still in its incubation phase. Particle fluctuations are too faint to be captured by secular equipment or the Central Authority's standard monitoring systems. Shortly after, global spiritual energy concentrations will rise in successive surges. The spatial barriers separating the ancient realms will continue to weaken. Wildlands, deep seas, and mountain forests will be the first regions to spawn mutated creatures nourished by spiritual energy and corrupted by ancient particles. Third Guardian may call them monsters or ferocious beasts. When that time comes, Blue Star's old ecosystem will collapse completely. The great era of physical refinement for all humanity and the rise of extraordinary power will officially arrive. Her explanation was well structured and pointed straight to the core of the matter. Jiang Jinsi recounted the extraordinary upheaval Blue Star endured in her past life without the slightest exaggeration. Chu Qingming's brows sank. Do you understand the consequences of falsely reporting planet-wide extraordinary crises and disrupting the Central Authority's assessment protocols? Qiannani hurried forward half a step. Guardian Qingming, Jinsi is not speaking recklessly. Grandfather, there is no need to explain. Jiang Jinsi raised a hand to gently cut him off, her expression serene. Having endured the apocalyptic catastrophe in her previous life, she long understood the path of an emperor. Truth was never proven through argument alone, but through power. Words carried no weight. She would manifest extraordinary power herself to shatter the limits of secular understanding. It is only natural your monitoring cannot detect the spiritual energy movements of the incubation period. After all, not everyone is qualified to wield extraordinary abilities. As she spoke, Jiang Jinsi took light steps forward. She walked slowly toward a black steel load, bearing pillar on one side of the conference hall. The pillar was forged from special black steel, extremely dense, resistant to heavy impact and artillery fire, serving as a foundational support of the conference hall. Watching Jiang Jinsi's movement, Zhou Ke's vitality instantly tensed. He shifted his weight, ready to defend Chu Qingming at any moment. Everyone fixed their eyes on the young girl, filled with confusion. The next instant, Jiang Jinsi spread her fingers, holding her palms suspended in midair, never making contact with the pillar. A wisp of pure, blazing, condensed crimson fire quietly rose from her palm. It was no ordinary flame, nor burning kindling. It was primal fire cultivated from the Huang Emperor canon. The fire glowed gently and restrained, neither violent nor dazzling. Yet it carried searing heat and the power of incineration. The phoenix fire hovered steadily above her palm. Threads of fire essence permeated the air. The cool breeze within the hall instantly evaporated, and temperatures in the area climbed sharply. Immediately after, a horrifying scene unfolded. The seemingly indestructible black steel pillar in the distance. Its surface visibly oxidized, turned red, and developed fine cracks scorched by intense heat. The hard black steel surface flushed hot red before their eyes. Delicate cracks spread and intertwined. The metallic structure weakened and eroded solely by the primal heat emanating from the fire. All of this happened from a distance. No physical contact, no impact, no explosive noise. Merely through the restrained primal heat of the phoenix fire in her palm, she remotely scorched and corroded special black steel. Hiss! Witnessing this sight, martial arts grandmaster Zhou Ke's pupils constricted sharply. He gasped in shock. He was overcome with utter astonishment. He had trained in martial arts for decades and reached the transcendent realm. He could shatter stone and crack steel, yet only through brute physical force. Any battle exceeding that level required firearms. But the young girl before him summoned fire out of nothing, manipulating it from afar, melting black steel with sheer heat. This far surpassed secular martial arts and every record of extraordinary ability archived by the central authority. Qian Nani froze completely, his mind reeling. Since when had his granddaughter learned to cultivate such powers? How had he never known? Seated at the main seat, Chu Qingming's perpetually calm, cold eyes churned with tempestuous emotion for the first time, her exquisite face showing genuine surprise. Having managed the extraordinary archives for years, she had studied every known extraordinary ability, the limits of martial arts, and all paranormal systems across the globe. Yet she had never witnessed such power. No machinery, no mediums, no external artifacts required. She birthed divine fire from within herself, remotely melting hardened black steel. This was no ordinary extraordinary talent. It was the true cultivation power recorded in the ancient texts of the Great Xia Federation, the immortal path of primal cultivation. Zhang Jinsi slowly closed her fingers. The phoenix fire instantly withdrew into her body, vanishing without a trace. She remained slender and calm, turning to meet Chu Qingming's gaze, her voice steady. Now, do you believe great changes are coming to Blue Star? Do you accept my warnings of the approaching upheaval? Chu Qingming fell silent for a long time. All scrutiny, doubt, and wariness faded from her eyes. In their place was solemn recognition. Chu Qingming finally understood. Outwardly, this young girl controlled $100 billion conglomerate and ranked as Great Xia's wealthiest woman. Privately, she was a pioneer far ahead of all others on Blue Star, possessing peerless primal extraordinary power. Zhou Ke, stand down. Chu Qingming waved her hand lightly. Zhou Ke suppressed all vigilance, bowed, and retreated to the side, fully lowering his defensive stance. In the next moment, Chu Qingming raised her hand. She suspended all monitoring and data recording within the hall to prevent leakage of top, secret information. Once these measures were complete, Chu Qingming stood up and met Zhang Jinsi's eyes. Her tone no longer carried the weight of high authority, yet remained sharp and grave. Friend Jinsi, you said Blue Star will soon undergo drastic changes, spiritual energy will surge, ancient barriers will break, and creatures will mutate. I am curious, how did you come to know and predict all of this? Tell me everything. Zhang Jinsi lifted her gaze toward Chu Qingming. Her voice carried a penetrating weight, unreserved and utterly candid. I have returned from the future through rebirth. Those few short words crashed like thunder into the solemn, silent heavenly pivot conference hall. Chu Qingming's perpetually calm, beautiful eyes narrowed sharply. Waves of shock surged within her heart. Over the years, managing Great Xia's extraordinary authority, she had studied countless strange tales and paranormal archives. She had seen biological mutations and witnessed strange corruption and aberrations. Yet the concept of rebirth transcended every known extraordinary phenomenon recorded across Great Star, across the entirety of Blue Star. It touched upon the realms of time, fate, and karmic cycles. Beside her, martial arts grandmaster Zhou Ke stiffened slightly, profound shock stirring deep within his eyes. Even Qian Nani, accustomed to the power struggles within the central authority, caught his breath, staring at his granddaughter in disbelief. Rebirth? His granddaughter, barely in her 20s and ruler of a vast commercial empire, had been reborn from 1 year into a catastrophic future? Beneath the stunned gazes of everyone present, Zhang Jinsi's expression remained unchanged. She spoke softly. That is correct. I was reborn from the apocalyptic catastrophe 1 year ahead in time. The flame you witnessed moments ago is neither secular paranormal power nor martial vitality. It originates from the foundational cultivation art I practiced in the future, the Huang Emperor Canon. I have only just begun cultivating it now, even barely able to summon primal phoenix fire. I can remotely scorch and melt black steel. Chu Qingming fixed her gaze intently on her. The Huang Emperor Canon? That is right. Zhang Jinsi gave a slight nod, her voice steady. This is no secular physical refinement technique, nor a shallow paranormal method. It is a true path of cultivation. It cultivates the physical body, soul, and primal essence simultaneously. With every breakthrough to a new realm, physique, perception, vitality, and control over extraordinary power advance in layers. Most importantly, it places no restrictions on talent or prior foundations. Commoners, martial artists, nobles, ordinary civilians, all may practice. As she finished, she looked straight at Chu Qingming, each word solemn. I am willing to hand over the complete introductory cultivation methods of the Huang Emperor Canon, alongside several advanced universal cultivation techniques in my possession, to the Great Xia Central Authority, to be shared openly across the nation. The moment those words were spoken, Chu Qingming's usually unshakable composure was shaken once more that day. Openly sharing cultivation arts with the entire nation. What did this mean? It meant Great Xia could surge ahead of every other nation on the planet. It meant entering the extraordinary era ahead of schedule. It meant ordinary humans would gain the means to break the shackles of mortal flesh, withstand the spiritual energy surge, and resist unknown alien races. Zhang Jinxi's gesture was far more than simply offering intelligence and cultivation techniques. It was an opportunity that could save humanity's survival and alter Great Xia's doomed fate. Suppressing the surging emotions inside her, Chu Qingming stared deeply at Zhang Jinxi, her tone heavy. There is no such thing as a free opportunity. You volunteer to hand over cultivation arts and reveal future trends. I must ask what you seek in return. Having climbed to the upper echelons of the Central Authority, Chu Qingming well understood human nature and the balance of gains and losses. Such high-level cultivation techniques, capable of monopolizing extraordinary power for an age, would be hoarded jealously by most, guarded as their ultimate trump card. Zhang Jinxi's willingness to give them away freely meant there must be deeper motives. Faced with Chu Qingming's question, a trace of sorrow and grief finally crossed Zhang Jinxi's face. In her previous life, she had watched the world collapse, witnessed hell on earth, and seen countless lives perish. In this life, she truly wished to stop all of it, to rewrite fate. She lifted her eyes toward the boundless sky outside the window. Her voice was quiet yet weighty enough to shake mountains. What I seek is simple. I want to survive. I want every citizen of Great Xia in this timeline, every member of the human race, to survive. Chu Qingming's pupils contracted. A cold weight settled in her heart. She instantly caught the terrible implication hidden beneath Zhang Jinxi's words. The spiritual energy surge, ancient contamination, biological mutation, events everyone viewed as the start of great change were merely the prelude to apocalyptic ruin. Jinxi, what will become of the Great Xia Federation after the spiritual energy surge? Chu Qingming's tone turned unconsciously grave. Zhang Jinxi took a deep breath. She slowly laid bare the hellish future locked away deep within her memories. In at most 1 month, spiritual energy across Blue Star will officially enter its rapid growth phase. The ancient spatial barriers will continue to fray. Foreign evil particles will seep endlessly into Blue Star's land, deep seas, mountain wilds. The first to appear will be mutated ferocious beasts nourished by spiritual energy and tainted by ancient corruption. Their physiques far surpass mortal creatures. Savage and bloodthirsty, they break the limits of physical science and can break through standard defenses of modern firearms. Initially, these monsters will appear sporadically, evolving and multiplying like creatures trapped in a breeding pit. Half a month after that, waves of ferocious beasts will break out in regions one after another. Towns will start to fall, and wildlands will become forbidden zones. Hearing this, Zhouke clenched his fists, cold light flickering in his eyes. He had reached the transcendent realm of martial arts, the peak of mortal hand-to-hand combat. Yet without firearms to rely on, facing swarms of mutated ferocious beasts, mutated tigers, lions, even wild boars corrupted by pollution, he would stand no chance and be torn apart. This is only the beginning. Zhang Jinxi shifted her tone, her voice turning icy. The true catastrophe does not come from mutated beasts native to Blue Star, but foreign evil races. As the ancient barriers crumble, spatial rifts will keep expanding. Foreign evil races will pour into Blue Star through these broken passages. These evil races are born wielding extraordinary power. Their bodies, arcane arts, and souls all outmatch the planet's mutated creatures. They see humans as trivial prey, to be captured and refined as sustenance. Chu Qingming's brows tightened severely. What level of combat strength do these foreign evil races possess? Jiang Jinsi replied coldly and truthfully. The low-ranking evil races arriving in the early stages match newly initiated human cultivators in strength, yet can crush ordinary armies equipped with firearms. Half a year later, spiritual energy concentrations will hit a critical threshold. Large-scale spatial ruptures will open, and high-ranking foreign evil races will pour into the planet en masse, laying waste to cities with no force able to stop them. 1 year from now will mark humanity's true fatal crisis. As she spoke, a memory of bone, deep despair flashed across Jiang Jinsi's eyes. In 1 year, spiritual energy will erupt violently. The ancient barriers will collapse completely, ushering in an era of global spatial ruptures. Deep within the outer starry sky, the ancient evil god dormant for countless eras will tear through the last remnants of the barriers and force its descent upon Blue Star. It is the supreme existence of the evil races, wielding power over annihilation. It can sink mountain ranges with a single gesture and erase cities with a wave of its hand. All human firearms, martial arts, and low to mid-tier extraordinary powers are meaningless before this evil god. Even nuclear weapons can only harm the lowest servants of the evil races. Against the evil god itself, they cannot leave even a scratch. Silence descended over the conference hall after her words. Seated on the main platform, Chu Qingming trembled slightly, cold dread rising from within her. Nuclear weapons were one of humanity's ultimate trump cards. If even nuclear arms proved useless, would human civilization truly face extinction? After a long pause, Chu Qingming's voice carried a hint of urgency. Based on what you have said, humanity will face annihilation in 1 year. Is humanity doomed to await its end without resistance? Jiang Jinsi shook her head, a firm glimmer of light reigniting in her eyes. No, all is not lost. 2 chances for survival remain for humanity amid this hopeless predicament. We still have hope. Chu Qingming heard Jiang Jinsi's resolute words. A spark suddenly ignited within her heart. She lifted her gaze to stare at the young girl before her. Her usual calm and icy voice carried an unusual urgency. Jinsi, you said humanity still holds 2 great hopes for survival. What are these 2 hopes? Jiang Jinsi raised her eyes, seemingly recalling distant memories, and spoke slowly. After the sharp surge of spiritual energy, ancient corruption will spread rapidly, and the universal laws governing the entire Blue Star will undergo great transformation. The revived spiritual energy washes over mountains, rivers, and seas, reshaping all living beings. Ordinary mortals who endure the tempering of spiritual energy and cosmic laws, breaking free from the shackles of mortal flesh, can step onto the path of transcendence. Those who cast off the chains of their genetics and wield transcendent power will be known henceforth as transcendents. These few sentences overturned every combat doctrine established over many years by the central authority of the Great Xia Federation. Chu Qingming's pupils constricted. She said nothing, holding her breath to await what came next. In the future, the power tiers of human transcendence will be standardized to match the strength of extraterrestrial evil races, divided into 9 ranks. From lowest to highest. Common tier, iron tier, silver tier, gold tier, platinum tier, diamond tier, sovereign tier, mythic tier. Jiang Jinsi spoke steadily, stating the ironclad power ranking system bought with countless human lives in her past life. Common tier barely surpasses human physical limits, capable of fighting mutated first-tier beasts. Iron tier and silver tier, strong enough to crush conventional armed forces and eliminate low-tier demonic beasts emerging in the early days of the catastrophe. Gold tier and platinum tier, able to defend entire cities and engage mid- to low-tier extraterrestrial evil creatures head-on. Diamond tier represents the peak of human transcendent strength. Warriors of this rank can hold off armies of high-tier evil beings and stand against the spawn of evil gods. As for sovereign tier, those who reach this level stand among the absolute top echelon across all nations on the devastated Blue Star. After absorbing this complete transcendent power hierarchy, Chu Qingming was overwhelmed with shock. She finally understood fully. Firearms and conventional armies of the old era would become obsolete. Under the new order to come, Humanity's survival would rest entirely upon these newly emerging transcendents. Yet moments later, Chu Qingming knitted her brows tightly and voiced a fatal, realistic problem. According to what you describe, spiritual energy will surge and mutations will spread fast. But transcendents need time to grow. In the early days of the catastrophe, demonic beasts will roam freely and evil races will invade. Scattered newly awakened transcendents cannot possibly halt the apocalyptic chaos. The deadliest danger at the start of the end times has never been monsters. It is collapsing order, rioting crowds, and humanity's own powerlessness before they have time to grow. Jiang Jinsi nodded slightly, acknowledging Chu Qingming's words. That is why I have a three-part plan to allow Great Xia to safely endure the early phase of the apocalypse. She extended 3 slender fingers, laying out her thoughts clearly. First, implement nationwide secret defense to secure our foundation. We must immediately deploy concealed special combat forces across all core cities of Great Xia. While conventional firearms cannot slay high-tier evil beings, they can stabilize public order, suppress unrest, and stop looting and riots at the catastrophe's onset. Simultaneously, we will accelerate stockpiling supplies and renovate underground shelter facilities to safeguard the basic foundation of our Great Xia Federation. Second, identify prodigies in advance and secure the foundation of our transcendent forces. In the chaotic era ahead, every person with transcendent potential is an invaluable treasure to humanity. As she spoke, Jiang Jinsi reached into her bag and pulled out a stack of tightly sealed black classified documents, sliding them gently to the center of the long table. The files were thick, each page clearly recording people's places of origin, birth dates, and life histories. There are 372 individuals documented here. All are those who, in my memories of the past life, awakened earliest, fought through rivers of blood to grow strong, and eventually guarded major cities, forming half of Great Xia's backbone of powerful transcendent prodigies. If we recruit and nurture them in secret ahead of time, Great Xia's transcendent system can take shape at least half a year earlier than those of other nations. Chu Qingming's heart raced as she stared at the documents. This was far more than just a list of names. It was the future backbone of transcendence belonging to the Great Xia Federation. It was a lifeline. Its value exceeded thousands of troops, even nuclear arsenals. I will activate the highest secret order of the heavenly pivot at once. Chu Qingming's gaze turned razor sharp. Assign dedicated personnel to track them covertly, provide full protection, prioritize recruitment and training, and ensure zero oversights or information leaks. Wait. Jiang Jinsi raised a hand to stop her, her expression turning grave. These first 2 steps will only let the Great Xia Federation cling to survival and endure the initial chaos. If we truly wish to reverse our fate, resist evil gods and repel the evil races, we must rely on the 3rd step, the first of humanity's 2 great trump cards. Chu Qingming's heart skipped a beat. What trump card? Jiang Jinsi parted her lips and spoke each word slowly, echoing throughout the meeting chamber. The Divine Court. The moment these 2 words fell, silence descended over the room. Chu Qingming raced through all classified archives, ancient inheritances, and records of hidden global forces stored within the Central Authority. In the end, only utter confusion remained in her eyes. She held the highest authority over Great Xia's knowledge of supernatural secrets and knew nearly all mysteries of the world, yet she had never heard this name. The Divine Court? She pressed for answers with a furrowed brow. Jiang Jinsi's gaze drifted afar, carrying reverence and awe. It is only natural that you know nothing of it now. Before catastrophe arrives and heaven and earth transform, the Divine Court remains hidden among mortals, blending into the crowds. It does not strive for secular power nor concern itself with worldly turmoil. But when empires crumble, nations fall, armies collapse, and humanity is forced to survive amid ruins, the Divine Court shall emerge, standing alone to suppress all evil. No weakling walks among the disciples of the Divine Court. The lowest rank among its members stands at silver tier. Gold tier and platinum tier practitioners are commonplace. Any single disciple can slaughter high-tier evil creatures, suppress mutated forbidden zones, and even seal spatial rifts. Zhou Ke listened, his scalp tingling and his heart pounding with excitement. Such profound strength far surpassed any secular power. Jiang Jinsi's next words sent shockwaves through the 3 people present. The true terror of the Divine Court does not lie in its disciples. It lies with its ruler, the Lord of the Divine Court, who never reveals himself and shrouded in boundless mystery. No one knows his origins, no one has laid eyes upon his full form. Even core members of the divine court have never witnessed his true appearance. Countless top transcendents, even sovereign-tier experts of the past life, speculated that he wields supreme authority over purification, capable of subduing all evil, erasing corruption, and sealing extraterrestrial rifts. A single person, capable of holding back an entire era of catastrophe. Chu Qingming trembled slightly, her voice trembling uncontrollably. You mean that if we locate the divine court and its lord, humanity will gain the true foundation to turn the tide? Exactly. Jiang Jinsi nodded firmly. Chu Qingming's emotions surged, and she asked immediately, is there no record of the lord of the divine court's name, appearance, or traces? If any clues exist, I can mobilize the National Heavenly Surveillance Network to monitor every corner of the land. We will dig deep into every corner to invite him to emerge. Jiang Jinsi shook her head gently, a flicker of sorrow crossing her eyes. During the apocalypse of the past life, by chance, I witnessed him act once from a distance. She slowly closed her eyes, and the scene etched deep within her soul resurfaced. At that time, a massive breach rift opened in the sky. Endless high-tier evil creatures poured through. Major cities fell. Numerous diamond and sovereign-tier transcendents died in battle. Blood stained the heavens, and all living beings sank into despair. Just as everyone awaited annihilation, he appeared. He had no fixed form, and no features could be discerned. I only remember all evil beings prostrating themselves instinctively, and the pervasive ancient corruption vanishing in an instant. He stood atop broken walls and rubble, unleashing no strikes and uttering no words. That apocalyptic evil invasion powerful enough to destroy an entire city vanished in the blink of an eye. Jiang Jinsi opened her eyes again, her gaze clear and bright. The Divine Lord is far too mysterious, and what I know about him remains limited. But I can confirm his strength surpasses ordinary sovereign-tier warriors. Therefore, starting today, the Central Authority can deploy surveillance networks nationwide ahead of time. Any location witnessing unexplained phenomena, spontaneous purification, or the retreat of evil beings may mark traces of the Divine Lord. Only by finding the Divine Court and its Lord can humanity grasp a chance to survive. A pin drop could be heard inside the meeting chamber. Everyone remained immersed in the overwhelming aura of the Lord of the Divine Court, unable to calm their minds for a long time. After a lengthy pause, Chu Qingming snapped back to her senses. Brilliant light flashed in her eyes as she turned toward Jiang Jinsi and voiced the final critical question in a low tone. Jinsi, you said humanity possesses two great hopes for survival. The Divine Court and its Lord are the first. Then, what is the second hope? The moment Chu Qingming finished her question, every person in the room held their breath. Even Chu Qingming, who commanded Great Xia's heavenly pivot and knew countless worldly secrets, felt her heart pounding violently. To stand alongside the Divine Court and its Lord as an ultimate trump card for humanity to reverse the apocalypse, this second hope must possess unimaginable power. Jiang Jinsi slowly lifted her gaze. All sharp rationality faded from her clear eyes. In its place was a heavy solemnity forged by crossing life and death and enduring catastrophe. She looked toward the distant horizon outside the window. Her sight seemed to pierce thousands of miles of mountains and endless oceans, reaching the dark, silent depths of the ocean tens of thousands of meters below the surface, a place where no human had ever set foot. The wind itself seemed to grow quiet. After a long silence, Jiang Jinsi parted her lips and spoke in a deep voice. Her tone was soft, yet it reverberated in the heart of every person present. The second great hope for humanity is the Azure Wave's divine beast. Just 4 words. No exaggerated embellishments, no deliberate dramatic build-up. Yet to those listening, the words carried primeval, boundless pressure originating from the very source of heaven and earth. Azure Wave's divine beast. Chu Qingming frowned deeply. She rapidly searched through all ancient records, fragmentary mountain and sea texts, and secret chronicles stored by the Central Authority. From ancient myths to modern hidden legends, from extraterrestrial tales to forbidden zones on this world, she combed through every known account, yet found nothing. She had never heard this name. What manner of being is it? Chu Qingming pressed urgently, her tone solemn. An ancient ferocious beast? An extraterrestrial life form? Or a strange existence akin to the evil gods? Jiang Jinsi shook her head gently, her expression solemn and reverent. None of these. It is the sole native great old one of the blue star. The words landed. Every person's pupils abruptly widened, and a surge of adrenaline shot up their spines. Great Old One. Everyone gathered were top leaders of Great Xia, and they understood fully what those 5 words signified. Chu Qingming's breath caught sharply, her voice trembling. A native Great Old One. Our blue star actually birthed a trump card of such stature? It is only natural that the world remains unaware. Zhang Jinxi pulled her gaze back from the distance and began to recount the classified truth of the past apocalypse. The azure wave's divine beast slumbers within the deepest, darkest oceanic fissures tens of thousands of meters beneath the waves of the blue star. Some guessed it possessed no true consciousness, indifferent to mortal affairs and worldly fortunes. Others believed it had slept since primeval eras, never rising for hundreds of millions of years and never interfering in human conflicts. It differed from extraterrestrial evil gods who reveled in slaughter, devouring living beings and corrupting the world for pleasure. It also differed from the divine court, which gathered talented warriors, established factions, and actively sheltered humanity. It seemed rooted solely within the source energy of this world, guarding the largest extraterrestrial breach deep within the ocean. As she spoke, sorrow and gratitude welled up in Zhang Jinxi's eyes, and her voice turned slightly hoarse. In the past life, everyone believed the apocalypse was a one-sided crushing of humanity by evil gods, leaving mankind powerless to resist. Everyone thought humanity could only struggle to survive, barely clinging to existence with no outside aid. But no one knew. After the full-scale catastrophe erupted, it was this lonely divine beast of the deep sea that single-handedly guarded the most dangerous primary rifts across all seas. It bore the brunt of more than half the invading army of extraterrestrial evil creatures with its own body. It suppressed the leakage of endless ancient corruption relying on its own primal essence. Inside the meeting chamber, Chu Qingming, Qian Nani, and all others fell completely stunned, overcome with disbelief. Standing alone to defend the oceans, single-handedly holding back countless evil beings. What terrifying power, what boundless righteousness. Zhang Jinxi took a deep breath and continued. You cannot fathom its true strength, and even I cannot be certain. We can only speculate that the combat power of the Azure Wave's divine beast likely reaches the peak tier, the mythic tier. It may be the only being in the entire history of the blue star that has touched or attained the mythic tier, a supreme existence. In the apocalypse of the past life, humanity's strongest warriors stopped at the peak of sovereign tier. Even exhausting every means, they could not halt the advance of high-tier evil creatures. 4 sovereign tier experts from the divine court fought countless battles and defended territories on all sides, yet were forced to retreat continuously, stretched thin, only beneath the deep sea. From the very start of the catastrophe until its bitter end, the Azure Wave's divine beast never took a single step back. Time and again, evil god overlords struck across dimensions. Wave after wave of extraterrestrial legions launched ferocious assaults. Time and again, ancient laws threatened to shatter heaven and earth. It endured every assault alone. Chu Qingming's body trembled, great waves surging within her heart. She could not hold back her urgent question. If it possessed such immense power, why did humanity still perish in the past life? Why did it not strike with full force to wipe out all evil beings? This question lingered in the hearts of everyone present. If a mythic tier divine beast unleashed its full strength, could it not eradicate the evil races entirely? A bitter flash of regret crossed Zhang Jinxi's eyes as she shook her head. You underestimate the evil races. In the past life, innumerable evil soldiers besieged the Azure Wave's divine beast. It fought more than half of the evil army single-handedly, facing dozens of evil sovereign tier warriors among them. With its massive form spanning thousands of meters, it slew dozens of evil sovereign tier warriors. Yet after being worn down by endless waves of enemies and burning its own primal essence, the Azure Wave's divine beast faced an evil god who had transcended sovereign tier, stepping into mythic tier, even advanced mythic tier. Though powerful, it could not prevail in the end. It could keep the blue star from breaking apart, yet it could not mend fractured human unity, could not overcome humanity's weakness, could not stop the world's ruin. Everyone listening felt a tangled mix of shock, admiration, and sorrow. A divine beast worthy of reverence, silently bearing humanity's burdens, seeking no reward and desiring no renown. How magnificent, how lonely. What was the final outcome in the past life? Chu Qingming's voice turned dry, weighted with sorrow. Zhang Jinxi closed her eyes, and the brutal memories buried deep within her soul surged forth once more. In the final days of the past life, the the supreme evil god Lord tore through dimensions and descended upon the whole world. During that battle, evil creatures stretched endlessly, corruption surged to the heavens, and cosmic laws crumbled. The defensive lines of the divine court collapsed completely. Even its 4 sovereign-tier warriors perished in battle, and the mortal world fell. Beneath the deep sea, to defend the foundational essence of the blue star, the azure wave's divine beast burned through hundreds of millions of years of primal reserves. It fought against the supreme extraterrestrial evil being until its strength faded away. In the end, it chose self-destruction, hoping to drag the evil god down alongside itself. Though it failed to kill the foe, it blocked the evil god's finishing strike and inflicted severe wounds upon him, preserving the last trace of vital energy within the blue star. But the beast itself turned to find dust, scattering across the world it had guarded, carried away by bloody winds. Once her voice faded, an absolute silence reigned in the meeting chamber. Heavy weight pressed upon every heart. A surge of indescribable grief welled in their chests. Humanity's final hope for survival was this forgotten, unhonored divine beast of the deep sea who fought and died without recognition. After a long silence, Chu Qingning snapped out of her daze. Blazing light burst from her eyes. Suppressing her shock, she asked urgently. In the past life it exhausted its power and self-destructed. That means we still have a chance in this timeline, do we not? Jiang Jinsi opened her eyes abruptly, flames burning in her gaze. Her tone was unwavering and powerful. Yes, this is the second great hope for humanity of which I speak. In the past life, the azure wave's divine beast fought alone. No one came to its aid. No one provided support. No one nourished its strength. Relying solely on its own ancient reserves, it withstood the apocalyptic disaster alone, holding back half the evil forces until its power dried up. But everything can still be changed in this life. There is exactly 1 year remaining before the global catastrophe strikes. The azure wave's divine beast must still lie dormant within the vast ocean, its essence intact and its power at its peak. The evil gods have yet to grow strong. The rifts have not expanded, and corruption has not spread. Jiang Jinsi stepped forward, sweeping her gaze across all top leaders of Great Xia gathered in the room. Every word she spoke rang loud and clear. The divine court serves as humanity's sharp blade, an external trump card amid chaos. The azure wave's divine beast is the innate, final shield of this world. In the past life, it protected humanity and received nothing in return. In this life, it shall be humanity's turn to support its evolution, fuel its strength, and help it reach greater heights. We will pour all national resources of Great Xia to nourish the primal essence of the deep sea. We must locate the place where the azure wave's divine beast slumbers ahead of time. We will bolster it with humanity's fortune and resources, stabilizing its mythic tier foundation. In the past life, it was likely an incomplete mythic existence, restrained by the limits of this world and unable to stand alone against all foes. But in this life, with humanity standing beside it, it can break free from all shackles and achieve complete mythic tier power. Blood surged through Chu Qingning's veins. Long, absent passion and hope ignited fiercely within her chest. She finally understood. She grasped the true terrifying potential of this second hope. The divine court is humanity's blade. The azure wave's divine beast is humanity's heaven. A blade can strike down enemies. Heaven can suppress catastrophe. As long as the azure wave's divine beast remains unbroken, the blue star's foundational essence will never perish. Once it achieves complete mythic tier strength, the extraterrestrial evil gods will have no chance of victory whatsoever. Chu Qingning lifted her head sharply, her gaze sharp as a blade, and issued an order without delay. Activate the highest classified authority of the heavenly pivot immediately. Initiate full-scale monitoring of all ocean regions. Mobilize all underwater detection equipment, deep sea satellites, and covert research teams. Spare no cost, resources, or equipment losses. All units begin the search. Even if we must comb every fathom of the ocean depths tens of thousands of meters below the waves, we must locate it ahead of time, the resting place of the azure wave's divine beast. Chu Qingning raised her hand toward the communication terminal and issued an order in a deep, resolute voice without the slightest hesitation. Initiate filing immediately. The all-domain deep-sea search operation shall be officially named Quest for Kanglin. Classify it as the only SSS-tier top-secret operation of the Great Xia Federation. Access shall be restricted to only the 3 senior members of the Central Authority. All participating personnel must sign lifelong non-disclosure agreements. Anyone leaking information shall be charged with treason. As the order was issued, the terminal instantly locked and archived the documents. This top-secret deep-sea operation that would shape humanity's future officially went into effect. Having completed this, Chu Qingming turned to Jiang Jinsi and spoke rapidly. Jinsi, I will immediately mobilize national deep-sea satellites, underwater detection fleets, and covert research vessels to thoroughly scan tens of thousands of meters deep ocean fissures across the four seas. As long as the Kanglan beast remains on Blue Planet, I will find it. With that, the decisive Chu Qingming prepared to leave the conference hall to coordinate national resources. Don't rush, Sister Qingming. Jiang Jinsi spoke, stopping her. Chu Qingming halted and glanced back at her. Is there another matter? Jiang Jinsi said calmly. We can carry out the search for Kanglan, but there is no need to pour all our resources into it at once. I will be frank with all of you. Even if we activate every deep-sea device nationwide right now, the odds of finding it are slim. These words stunned everyone present. Qian Nani frowned and spoke up. Why? With our nationwide detection network, we can precisely track deep-sea terrain, undercurrents, and geological anomalies. How could we fail to locate it? Because its rank is far too high. Jiang Jinsi explained plainly. The Kanglan beast is an elder one born on this land, rooted in the origin of heaven and earth. With its power, it can completely shield itself from all external detection. Satellites cannot spot it, sound waves cannot trace it, thermal sensors cannot lock onto it. Conventional technology is entirely ineffective against it. In the previous timeline, when the cataclysm erupted, rifts of the fiend race opened wide and the laws of the world fell into chaos, forcing it to awaken and reveal itself. But the catastrophe has yet to arrive, and corruption has not spread. If it rests dormant within the blind zones of the deep sea, we will have no way to detect its trace. Chu Qingming's brows tightened sharply. Does that mean we can do nothing for now and simply wait for a year? We are not waiting idly. Jiang Jinsi shook her head with firm conviction. The search for Kanglan is a long-term undertaking that we can advance gradually. Our top priority right now is to push forward two lines of work simultaneously. First, conduct covert monitoring of deep-sea anomalies and carry out the quest for Kanglan. Second, we must immediately gather the nation's most talented individuals, cultivate extraordinary combat power, and establish a dedicated regulatory system. The apocalypse waits for no one. The fiends will not grant us time to develop slowly. Even if the Kanglan beast becomes our final fallback, mutant beasts, sporadic fiend incursions, and civil unrest in the early stages could still tear the Great Xia Federation apart. Understanding dawned on everyone. That was right. The Kanglan beast was the ultimate trump card. Yet the slaughter and collapse of order in the early chaos would overwhelm humanity long before the beast awakened. Chu Qingming pressed her immediately. Do you have a concrete plan? I do. Jiang Jinsi nodded and laid out her strategy without delay. Establish a special extraordinary organization directly under the central authority with independent jurisdiction. Its responsibilities will include recruiting talented individuals, teaching foundational extraordinary cultivation techniques, suppressing emerging mutant beasts, and supervising all awakened anomalous humans. After considering the proposal for a moment, Chu Qingming deemed it viable and made a prompt decision. You may choose its name. Jiang Jinsi did not hesitate. Let it be called Bureau 749. Upon hearing the name, Qian Nani and Zhou Ke both stirred slightly. Bureau 749 was an old top-secret research designation of Great Xia, inherently carrying the highest confidentiality classification. It had long operated hidden within the administrative system, investigating unusual celestial phenomena, geological disturbances, and unknown anomalous events. Operating under this designation would perfectly conceal the birth of the extraordinary system, while granting legitimate authority to oversee monitoring of all abnormal incidents. Its covert nature was ideal. Only Chu Qingming caught a crucial detail. Why not name it Divine Court directly? This was what puzzled her most. Divine Court was the supreme force that had crushed the fiends and saved humanity in the previous timeline. Its reputation was enough to inspire awe amid chaos, and its legacy could bear humanity's hopes. If the government officially founded an organization named Divine Court, it would rally public support and gather national momentum with unparalleled effect. Jiang Jinsi shook her head gently, her tone tinged with reverence and self-awareness. We must never use the name Divine Court. First, Divine Court is not a human faction. It is a transcendent order founded by the Supreme Divine Lord. It belongs to no nation, no secular regime, and no individual. I am merely a survivor from the previous timeline. I possess neither the power nor the right to presumptuously claim the title of that supreme being's order. Second, the Lord of Divine Court stands detached from mortal affairs and never aligns with any political regime. If we forcibly establish an official organization bearing the name Divine Court, we will only appear presumptuous and create unnecessary estrangement. Our path is to await the Divine Lord's descent and align ourselves with Divine Court naturally, rather than seize its name and overstep our bounds. Bureau 749 is perfectly suited. Jiang Jinsi continued her explanation. Bureau 749 is an indigenous top, secret designation of Great Xia, legitimate and firmly rooted. In the early phase, it can nurture humanity's own extraordinary forces and maintain order amid impending chaos. When Divine Court emerges and the Divine Lord descends in the future, Bureau 749 can integrate into Divine Court to serve as its mortal foundation. It is the optimal arrangement for both sides. After hearing this reasoning, Chu Qingning fully grasped the underlying logic. The leader made an immediate decision. Agreed. We will adopt the name Bureau 749. She then turned to Jiang Jinsi and asked the core question in a solemn voice. What standards of jurisdiction and affiliation do you seek for Bureau 749? Jiang Jinsi appeared to have prepared her answer long ago and spoke plainly. Bureau 749 shall hold full independent authority over personnel affairs, cultivation systems, and field operations. The central authority may conduct oversight, allocate funding, and provide resources and connections. However, it shall not forcibly intervene in internal management, deploy unauthorized personnel within the Bureau, or interfere with the teaching of cultivation arts and the training of talented individuals. These words caused subtle shifts in the expressions of everyone present. Complete independent authority, free from administrative interference. This was equivalent to creating an extremely powerful, nearly autonomous top, secret armed force within the Great Xia system. Qianani could not hold back her words. Jinsi, you must understand that an independent organization of this magnitude carries immense risks. A force wielding extraordinary power outside institutional constraints could bring catastrophic consequences if ambition takes root. I am fully aware. Jiang Jinsi did not evade the point. It is precisely because I witnessed how morality crumbled during the apocalypse, saw extraordinary bullies abusing their power, and watched unrestrained strength shatter order, that I aim to prevent such disasters in advance. Bureau 749's independence is not a bid for power. It is to preserve its integrity of purpose. The administrative system is bound by layers of formalities and constraints. It moves too slowly and is weighed down by endless considerations. The apocalypse draws near, and we have no time for internal friction. Recruiting talents, deploying combatants, and suppressing disasters demand speed, precision, and resolve. Layer by layer approval procedures would cost us every critical opportunity, and ordinary civilians would pay with their lives. As for the risks, I will oversee them. Jiang Jinsi's gaze was steady, her words carrying unshakable weight. I am the only one who lived through the complete apocalypse. I know every pitfall, every person's potential ambition, and every source of turmoil. I will lead the founding of Bureau 749. I will set its rules, uphold its bottom line, and select its staff. I guarantee that this organization will remain a blade shielding Great Xia and its people, never a private army that brings ruin to the world. Silence hung over the room for 2 seconds. Chu Qingning let out a long breath, all hesitation fading from her eyes. She understood Jiang Jinsi's character and understood the burden the young woman bore. Reborn from annihilation, her sole resolve was to defend her homeland and save countless lives. Someone like her would never seek personal gain. Very well. Chu Qingning nodded firmly and settled the matter. I will immediately convene the highest roundtable session of the Central Authority for a full vote. I will fully advocate for your proposals. I will strive to secure autonomous management rights, independent operational authority, and unlimited special resource allocations for Bureau 749. You shall retain full authority over your cultivation techniques, the list of 372 talented individuals you identified, and the extraordinary training framework you devised. Jiang Jinsi gave a slight nod. Thank you, Sister Qingning. It is my duty. Chu Qingning stood up, her expression sharp. All of you must uphold strict confidentiality regarding everything discussed in this conference hall. Every word spoken today must remain buried. With that, she strode out to urgently convene senior officials of the Central Authority, finalizing plans for Great Xia's first top, secret extraordinary organization. The birth of Bureau 749 had begun. Silence lingered in the highest conference hall of the Central Authority for 2 full hours. Chu Qingming, who had left earlier, finally pushed the door open and returned. Her demeanor was no longer taut and sharp as before. There was a settled calm in her eyes, and the imposing aura belonging to Great Xia's third guardian slowly spread through the room. Walking beside her was a stern military officer bearing 3-star rank, standing tall and straight as a pine. His immaculate formal military uniform radiated military solemnity. Jiang Jinsi, Qian Nani, and Zhou Ku, who had waited in the hall, lifted their gazes at the same time. No questions needed to be asked. Everyone knew the outcome of the highest-level roundtable session of the Central Authority had arrived. Chu Qingming walked straight to the main seat and sat down. Her gaze fell immediately on Jiang Jinsi, and she spoke directly without superfluous remarks. I have just met with Great Xia's first guardian and second guardian. All proposals concerning the establishment of Bureau 749, construction of the extraordinary system, and early preparations for the apocalyptic defense line have passed full deliberation. As her words fell, everyone in the room felt a collective sense of relief. This meant the Great Xia government had fully acknowledged the arrival of a new extraordinary era. Jiang Jinsi's features softened slightly, and she spoke quietly. Did the 2 guardians raise no objections? There were objections. Chu Qingming nodded frankly, making no attempt to hide the negotiations and compromises. The first guardian oversees core central governance and prioritizes stability. He endorses your strategy, yet fears extraordinary military power free from oversight. The second guardian remained neutral throughout the discussion. He believes all terms are negotiable as long as Great Xia's survival can be secured. The core point of contention during our 2-hour meeting was one single issue. Chu Qingming met Jiang Jinsi's eyes and slowly stated the bottom line set by the Central Authority. Bureau 749 may enjoy autonomy over personnel, cultivation, and field operations. The Central Authority will not interfere in internal affairs. Unlimited resources, supplies, and funding will be allocated, and the nation will provide full backing. However, Bureau 749 must never break completely away from the Great Xia federal system, nor may it evolve into an unrestrained, independent force. This represented the maximum concession and ultimate red line of the government. Upon hearing this, the 3-star military general stepped forward half a pace and spoke in a firm, formal tone. Miss Jiang, I am Lu Jinyue, Commander-in-Chief of the Central Guard Military Region. The Central Authority has resolved that Bureau 749 will adopt a leadership structure of 1 director and 2 deputy directors. The first deputy director will be myself. I represent the military and Central Authority, responsible for resource coordination, military deployment, field stability operations, and official liaison. The political balance of this arrangement was no longer concealed. The military would take charge of external liaison and resource lifelines. While outwardly granting authority, it firmly secured the external boundaries of Bureau 749 to eliminate any risk of the extraordinary organization slipping out of control. Qian Nani and Zhou Ku exchanged a glance and understood. It was the most prudent political equilibrium. Jiang Jinsi held internal power, controlling cultivation, personnel selection, regulations, and core combat forces. The military held external power, managing resources, official communication, and stability operations. They would cooperate, yet also check and balance one another. Jiang Jinsi remained calm, showing no surprise. I can accept the system of 2 deputy directors. At those words, the tension in Lu Jinyue's shoulders eased slightly. Chu Qingming continued to speak, laying out the greatest concession offered by the Central Authority, the key condition meant to reassure Jiang Jinsi entirely. The second deputy director position is yours to appoint freely. Whether it is talented individuals you favor, trusted associates, or confidants you cultivate in the future, the Central Authority will complete formal registration and offer full recognition without review or intervention. This demonstrated complete sincerity. The government held one position to maintain checks and balances, while reserving another for Jiang Jinsi's trusted allies. It preserved the federal government's bottom line of control while granting Jiang Jinsi ample room for independent development, removing unnecessary obstacles. A glimmer of light flashed across Jiang Jinsi's eyes, and she nodded openly. The Central Authority has shown good faith. She lifted her gaze to meet Chu Qingming and Lu Jinyue's eyes. I will state my position clearly. First, Bureau 749 shall remain affiliated with the Great Xia Federation for the time being. I founded this bureau to protect the people of Great Xia and resist the apocalyptic catastrophe. I have no intention of establishing a separatist force or maintaining a private military. I harbor no selfish motives amid the approaching chaos. Hearing this, Lu Jinyue's wariness gradually faded. Chu Qingning nodded. Yet Jiang Jinsi shifted her tone immediately afterward. She uttered words that shocked everyone in the room. But I wish to lay out my stance plainly in advance, with complete honesty. Bureau 749 is a defensive line for humanity, a trump card of Great Xia, an institution to uphold order in troubled times. I myself, however, belong neither to the Federation nor any political regime. I establish Bureau 749 and cultivate extraordinary practitioners for the common people of Great Xia, not for political power. Jiang Jinsi's eyes were clear, filled with reverence. When heaven and earth transform and the apocalypse arrives, if divine court emerges and its lord descends to the mortal world, I, Jiang Jinsi, will immediately resign from all positions within Bureau 749, follow the divine lord, and return to the order of divine court. Dead silence descended over the hall. Qian Nani's pupils contracted, Zhou Ke held his breath, and Lu Jinyue's expression turned grave. Jiang Jinsi's statement was direct and decisive. It amounted to a candid advance warning to the government. I will stand with you to defend Great Xia, train combatants, and fend off the fiend invasion for now. Yet my ultimate destination is divine court, the transcendent power of Great Xia, not mortal political authority. Chu Qingning stared at Jiang Jinsi in silence for several seconds before speaking slowly. Have you fully considered this? By saying this, you effectively reserve a path for yourself and inform the central authority that you will not remain bound by this system forever. I have considered it thoroughly. Jiang Jinsi did not avert her gaze, speaking calmly. I choose to speak openly today because honesty is the only proper course. If I feigned allegiance and concealed this truth, only to depart abruptly when the divine lord arrives, that would be the greatest betrayal of Great Xia. I can guarantee this. Until the apocalyptic catastrophe is quelled and divine court emerges, I will devote every effort to lead Bureau 749, nurture talented practitioners, maintain order, and block fiend incursions. Divine Court is the home that granted me everything. In my heart, the Divine Lord stands above all else. When he descends, all mortal regimes must yield to the natural order. I will not, nor do I wish to cling to mortal power. Third Guardian Chu Qingning watched her intently for a long moment, then let out a breath and broke into a clear smile. I understand. The two guardians and all senior members of the Central Authority never sought to chain or bind anyone. Our only goal within the coming year is to ensure Great Xia Federation endures, its people avoid displacement, and social order does not collapse. So long as you safeguard this land and its people. When you choose to return to Divine Court and follow your faith in the future, no one within the Central Authority will stand in your way or hold it against you. Lu Jinyue gave a solemn military salute. Miss Zhang's heart belongs to the people, and your vision rises above petty political struggles. The military holds sincere admiration for you. Rest assured, from now on, the military's role within Bureau 749 will be limited to support, resource provision, and logistical backing. We will never overstep to interfere in internal affairs in the slightest. Of course, the military honors strength. If the Divine Lord truly descends one day, I hope you will walk beside such a mighty being. Jiang Jinsi nodded politely toward Lu Jinyue. Seizing the moment, Chu Qingning moved on. We will implement the action plan immediately. First, regarding the list of talented individuals. The 372 top extraordinary recruits you identified are now subject to covert contact ordered by the Central Authority. They will be placed under confidential protection, their identities encrypted, and assigned dedicated liaisons. They will be transferred to the base in separate batches to avoid public disturbance or premature mutation. Second, the dedicated base for Bureau 749. Chu Qingning spoke rapidly, outlining the finalized arrangements. The base location has been confirmed, a top-secret underground special base under direct central administration within restricted airspace. Far from urban populations, it is equipped with signal, shielding materials, independent energy supplies, dedicated security systems, and training grounds. Spanning over 100,000 square meters, it contains training arenas, cultivation chambers, isolation wards, a monitoring center, and fully stocked supply depots with top-tier facilities. It is the most suitable site within the Great Xia capital region for extraordinary training, combat drills, and troop assembly. It is also the highest security, best equipped, and most concealed special base in existence across Great Xia. Zhang Jinsi nodded slightly. This arrangement is acceptable. Third, full mobilization of resources. Chu Qingning continued. The nationwide high-grade jade procurement initiative is advancing simultaneously. All collected and purchased high-purity spirit jade raw stones will be sorted and stored, with priority allocation to Bureau 749 for cultivation use. You previously stated spirit jade can gather ambient energy, purify spiritual essence, and resist corrupting contamination. Moving forward, you will hold full authority over all spiritual material distribution. A faint warmth finally appeared in Zhang Jinsi's eyes. Thank you, Sister Qingning. Thank you for the trust of the central authority. No need for thanks. Chu Qingning shook her head, her expression heavy. We are gambling on the future of humanity. You chose to risk your life to protect all people after being reborn from ruin. We merely take the risk of placing our trust in you. What reason do we have to hesitate? The formal founding of Bureau 749 commences now. You will serve as director, with overall command of the Bureau. Lu Jinyue and the second deputy director appointed by you will assist you in parallel. From this day onward, Great Xia officially enters the era of extraordinary preparedness. At the exact moment when the central government of the Great Xia Federation finalized the establishment of Bureau 749 and fully launched preparations for the arrival of supernatural forces. Thousands of miles across the ocean, outside the territory of the Federation, beneath 1,000 meters of seawater. Darkness reigned here, sunlight unable to penetrate the depths, only frigid seawater flowing slowly. Above, the tides of an era were quietly shifting across the ocean surface. Spiritual energy was reviving, natural laws were mutating, and the countdown to catastrophe had begun. Yet Lu Ming, lingering in this remote stretch of the deep sea, knew nothing of it. All he understood was this. He was merely a newly evolved azure orca, having just completed his second metamorphosis and firmly standing as a rank 2 ferocious beast. Only 6 days had passed since his rebirth. Lu Ming's world revolved around 4 simple core concepts: survive, hunt, devour, grow stronger. Within the boundless deep sea, the law of the jungle prevailed, and nothing more. Right now, Lu Ming's massive whale body hovered silently within deep ocean currents, having just finished a hunt and devouring his prey. A thought flickered through his mind, and he summoned his latest complete status panel. Host, Lu Ming. Race, Azure Orca, giant beast prototype. Mature ferocious beast gender. Undetermined age. 6 days since rebirth lifespan. 120 years species limits broken, continuously unlocking further potential. Weight, 4,200 kg body length. 6. 5 meters rank. Rank 2 peak iron. Tier ferocious beast physique. Ironbone frame second evolution advanced state. Traits. Complete immunity to omnidirectional water pressure, greatly enhanced resistance against sharp piercing attacks, doubled physical attack and defense, extreme refinement of bodily flexibility, 0 stamina consumption during high-speed swimming. Soul. Intact human soul, stable consciousness, seamless control over his giant beast body, extremely sharp, deep, see instinctive perception, innate talents, boundless devour, unique supreme talent, ironbone frame, permanent passive, Azure Source latent passive evolution points, 216.56/1000 threshold for rank 3 evolution raised. Special status, fundamental species shackles fully shattered, Azure Giant Beast evolution path activated, shackles restricting human form transformation partially loosened. Lu Ming scanned every line of data and pondered silently. His second evolution had been achieved by hunting an adult giant swordfish. The transformation of his body was a genuine qualitative leap. Just 1 day prior, he had needed to fight cautiously, maneuvering to find openings when facing an adult swordfish. Now, after advancing his ironbone frame and awakening the Azure Source, bone density, muscular explosive power, and skin defenses across his entire body had all doubled. Ordinary ocean predators were no longer a threat. Even if several peak swordfish charged him head-on at once, he could overwhelm and tear them apart effortlessly. The most obvious change lay in his bodily agility. A massive creature measuring more than 6 meters long and weighing nearly 4 tons now moved with astonishing lightness in seawater. Sharp turns, sudden halts, steep dives, explosive bursts of speed, all carried out fluidly. No trace of the clumsiness typical of giant beasts remained. My strength is sufficient, yet my evolution points are holding me back. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. The threshold for rank 3 evolution had jumped straight to 1,000 points. He possessed barely more than 200 at the moment. Hunting ordinary small fish would never fill this gap. He had hunted relentlessly today, traveling from surface waters down to the mid-ocean zone. Conventional marine creatures yielded less and less evolution energy. It was clear that the energy contained within ordinary sea life could no longer keep pace with the evolution tier of his azure giant beast bloodline. There is no point remaining in mid-depth waters. Lu Ming settled on his decision. He would dive deeper. The farther down he went into the abyssal depths, the greater the chance of encountering larger prey holding pure, more concentrated vital energy. Yet the pitch black deep-sea bore crushing water pressure, an environment most large marine creatures dared not linger within. To Lu Ming, who was fully immune to water pressure, the deep abyss was his safest, quietest, exclusive hunting ground. Lu Ming's enormous tail fin flicked gently. His vast black whale body cut through frigid ocean currents, steadily descending toward deeper water layers. The surroundings grew darker by the second, vision nearly swallowed by shadow. Water temperatures plummeted, and an oppressive silence settled beneath immense hydraulic pressure. Scarcely any sound echoed, no ripples, no signs of moving creatures. Bearing the mindset of a human who had lived in modern society, Lu Ming felt a subtle sense of oppression. This stretch of ocean was alien, unfathomable, and within the unknown lay countless opportunities. A few hundred meters further down, and I should encounter genuine abyssal leviathans. Lu Ming descended patiently, his senses sharp and alert. The instant he prepared to dive onward, hundreds of meters to his left, a violently ferocious, chaotic aura, utterly unlike that of any normal marine creature, erupted without warning. The frigid seawater all around seemed stirred by a wave of murderous malice. Lu Ming's colossal body ground to an immediate halt, alarm bells ringing sharply in his mind. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Over the past few days, he had roamed the open ocean freely. He had hunted sharks, sailfish, swordfish, giant bottom, dwelling fish. He was familiar with the auras of nearly all top marine predators. The aura of ordinary deep sea beasts was either heavy and steady, or cold and wary. This aura, however, twisted, frenzied, deranged, overflowing with hostility, as if belonging to a completely berserk beast devoid of reason, driven by nothing but the urge to kill. Could some marine leviathan be hunting here? Lu Ming suppressed his surprise. He subtly shifted his whale fins and glided forward silently to investigate. The 100-meter distance closed in an instant. When he finally made out the strange shape drifting in the darkness, Lu Ming froze for a split second. Damn, what an ugly, bizarre creature. He had never laid eyes on anything like this. It fell entirely outside every frame of reference he held for modern marine species. The creature visible before him stretched nearly 6 meters long, possessing an elongated, flattened spindle-shaped body unique to the deep sea. Its torso was lined with knotted muscle, its form radiating explosive power. Its head resembled neither fish nor shark, nor any standard deep sea organism. A translucent gelatinous rostrum jutted forward from its crown, similar to the saw of a goblin shark but thinner and sharper, lined with fine bony barbs along its edge. Most uncanny of all were its eyes. Instead of spherical fish eyes, 2 tubular vertical pupils were embedded beneath a transparent cranial membrane, capable of slight rotation, locking firmly on its surroundings, glowing faint crimson in the gloom. No scales covered its body. Instead, it bore fine gray, black keratin armor plating, each edge sharp as a blade. Friction between the plates and seawater generated faint, subtle turbulence as it swam. It lacked a typical caudal fin. 3 asymmetrical, mutated bony tails split from the end of its torso, thrashing with erratic timing, speeding, slowing, veering left and right unpredictably. Its swimming pattern was utterly abnormal, making its movements impossible to anticipate. This was a sea beast Lu Ming had never encountered before. No, it does not appear to be a naturally evolved species. It looks like a new monster warped and born by environmental mutation after birth. Could it be that I've stumbled into that common trope from novels, the revival of spiritual energy and mutated wildlife? Thoughts raced through Lu Ming's mind. Ever since his transmigration, he had known nothing of great catastrophes, supernatural powers, or the drastic changes overtaking Blue Star amid spiritual energy revival. Living within the ocean, he could intuitively sense that the deep sea environment was slowly shifting. And this grotesque sea beast before him was clearly far stronger than any deep sea creature he had hunted so far. Tensed musculature, hardened keratin armor, erratic mobility, and a killing intent craving to tear everything apart. It was undoubtedly a predator on par with a rank 2 ferocious beast, or possibly higher. A survivor forged through countless brutal battles. Interesting. It seems I have found an opponent worthy of my strength. After the brief shock, fear did not surface within Lu Ming. Instead, fierce battle intent ignited. He had been frustrated that ordinary prey yielded too little evolution energy, trapping his progress. A ferocious beast such as this would hold extremely concentrated vital energy within its body. Devouring a single specimen would easily equal dozens of ordinary open ocean fish. On the other side, the mutated beast sensed Lu Ming's presence. Its tubular vertical pupils contracted sharply. The profound silence of the deep sea shattered instantly. Whoom! The three mutated bony tails whipped violently, churning seawater into chaotic currents. This strange deep sea ferocious beast made no attempt to test the waters, nor did it show the slightest urge to retreat. Even facing Lu Ming's equally massive body and overwhelming aura, it charged forward fearlessly. Wrapped in surging murderous malice, it hurtled straight toward Lu Ming at terrifying speed. Huh, I hadn't even made the first move, and it strikes first. Truly bold beyond measure. Does it not understand its place? It wants to become my meal for advancement. Lu Ming chuckled inwardly and advanced to meet it. The full physical might of a peak rank 2 iron tier beast erupted. His massive whale body stabilized amid the ocean currents, standing his ground without evasion. Since the opponent had initiated hostilities, there was only one course of action: fight. This was the perfect chance to test exactly how durable his iron-bone frame was after the second evolution. The frigid water 1,000 meters below the surface. Two enormous shadowy forms collided in an instant. No probing strikes, no hesitation whatsoever. The strangely shaped mutated deep sea creature fixed its crimson vertical pupils unwaveringly on Lu Ming. Malice roiled around it. Its three deformed bony tails lashed the currents, launching its entire body forward in a brutal charge. That sharp, translucent bony rostrum aimed directly for vital points on Lu Ming's body. Its assault was swift and vicious, adopting an all or nothing fighting stance. This monster is abnormal. Lu Ming focused his attention. His giant whale body sank slightly, tracking the charging trajectory intently. Even the fiercest natural deep sea predators weigh risks. They will hesitate when sensing a gap in strength. This creature possesses no rationality, consumed solely by the urge to kill. In the split second Lu Ming processed this observation, the mutated beast closed the distance. It ripped apart surrounding calm currents, its sprint velocity surpassing all regular sea life in these waters. Incredible. The way it channels power is completely unnatural. Lu Ming's mind raced, rapidly analyzing the battle. It does not rely on water currents for momentum. It generates acceleration purely through brute bodily force, which explains its overwhelming explosive power. Lu Ming chose not to block the piercing attack head-on. His physique was tough, yet there was no reason to sustain unnecessary injury. He subtly adjusted the angle of his whale fins, sliding sideways gently using the surrounding seawater. The movement was steady and precise, shifting just enough to dodge the lethal thrust of the bony rostrum. Shoo! Sharp bone scraped across Lu Ming's skin. The friction between hard bone and his flesh produced a faint grinding sound. It left nothing more than a fleeting pale mark, unable to breach his defenses in the slightest. Missing its target, the mutated sea beast did not pause for even a moment. It seemed incapable of acknowledging failure or retreat. Its body twisted abruptly. Gray, black keratin armor bristled across its frame, each plate sharp enough to cut. Using the momentum of its turn, it rammed sideways, sweeping its bony tails to seal off Lu Ming's escape routes. Relentless. A classic berserker fighting style. Lu Ming judged silently. It only knows reckless frontal assaults, with no regard for defense. It trades wounds for wounds at every turn, explaining its suffocating bloodlust. Faced with the brute's relentless close quarters pressure, Lu Ming stopped dodging. Constant evasion would only drain stamina. Since the enemy relied entirely on raw force, he would outmatch its ferocity with skill. He tensed every muscle, stabilizing himself against shifting deep sea pressure. The moment the mutated beast's body crashed toward him, he adjusted his center of gravity precisely. The hardened bone plating on his shoulder aligned with the weak flank of his foe, and he surged forward to ram. Boom! A dull crash reverberated through the deep sea. Surrounding seawater shuddered and churned violently. This was an unreserved clash of flesh against flesh. The mutated sea beast already had unstable balance. Lu Ming's precise blow struck its flank, sending its massive body reeling. Large sections of its keratin armor cracked open. Thick black blood seeped out through gaps between plates, staining the surrounding seawater. Yet something uncanny happened. The grievous wound failed to force the mutated beast backward. It let out a shrill, piercing cry. Killing intent intensified within its scarlet pupils. Ignoring its own injuries, it thrust its head forward once more. Rows of sharp jaws snapped wildly, tearing and biting at Lu Ming's body. Its damage resistance is noteworthy. It can maintain its assault after sustaining such heavy impact. Lu Ming calmly observed the creature's movements. Nevertheless, its flaws are obvious. Every ounce of strength is poured into frontal attacks, leaving the midsection of its torso fully exposed. After several rounds of close combat, Lu Ming had fully mapped out the mutated beast's attack rhythm. Fast strikes, unrelenting offense, fearless of harm. But following every heavy attack came a brief bodily stiffening. The transition between movements was clumsy, the greatest weakness of this distorted body. The fight ends now. He waited for the moment when the beast's bite missed and its body locked up briefly. Lu Ming seized the opening without delay. He minimized drag against the seawater, pressing his giant whale body forward. His massive head jammed beneath the creature's jaw, completely preventing it from lifting its skull. His enormous jaws snapped shut in the next instant. Sharp whale teeth clamped firmly, locking onto the midsection of the mutated beast's torso. The moment his jaws closed, Lu Ming could distinctly feel the texture of the creature's body. The toughness of its muscle tissue far exceeds ordinary deep-sea leviathans. Lu Ming marveled inwardly. Its muscles were dense and rigid, which explained its tremendous thrashing strength. Most sea beasts would have lost all capacity to struggle once trapped in his jaws. Trapped firmly within Lu Ming's grip, the mutated sea beast descended into utter frenzy. It twisted its deformed body violently. The three bony tails whipped the seawater relentlessly. Its torso rolled and pulled with every last ounce of strength, desperate to break free. Its raging aura surged to its peak, unleashing all remaining ferocity. Powerful twisting force spread through the seawater. An ordinary hunter would have been shaken loose instantly. Lu Ming remained composed, maintaining steady biting pressure, unmoving. It possesses impressive brute strength, yet uncoordinated power cannot alter the outcome of battle. No matter how wildly the beast writhed and tore, Lu Ming's jaws held rock, solid, locked onto its vital region, denying any chance of a counterattack. The stalemate lasted merely seconds. The mutated beast's struggles gradually weakened. Cumulative trauma and unrelenting confinement drained its last reserves of energy. It is time to finish this. A cold glint flashed within Lu Ming's eyes. He abandoned the stalemate and wrenched his closed jaws sideways with brutal force. Rip! A muffled sound of tearing flesh echoed through the deep sea. Tough mutated muscle, hardened armor plates, and distorted bodily tissue all split open in an instant. Black blood and floating fragments of internal organs scattered through the water. The beast that had fought so ferociously went rigid, all life fading away, limp within the seawater. Lu Ming wasted no time and opened his jaws to begin devouring. Pure flesh and bodily tissue saturated with unique energy slid into his stomach. A warm current, far purer than that from any ordinary marine creature, washed over his bones and muscles, nourishing his physical form. Half an hour later, every fragment of the creature's remains had been completely consumed, leaving no trace in the waters. At the same time, a crisp system notification echoed within Lu Ming's mind. Ding! Successfully devoured an old corruption creature, dark prow rostrum shark. Ding! Detected residual old energy, compatible with the Azure Giant Beast source. Ding! Evolution points obtained, 158.34. Hidden notification triggered. The environment of Blue Star, the host's current world, is quietly transforming. The deep sea is the first region plagued by old corruption. Old corruption creatures, wildlife warped by old particles leaking from extra-dimensional rifts. Born violent and bloodthirsty, their physique, speed, and resistance all surpass natural creatures of the same tier. Vital energy originating from the old ones contained within these creatures can drastically boost the evolution efficiency of the Azure Giant Beast bloodline. They are superior evolutionary resources compared to ordinary life forms, the optimal choice for the current stage. Old corruption? Lu Ming's pupils constricted. My speculation was correct. This is not simple genetic mutation. Unknown old particles twisted this creature's body. That explains its deranged temperament, mindless fighting style, and physiology that defies all natural logic. And its energy is truly extraordinary, far purer than any prey I have devoured before. Waves of realization swept over Lu Ming. He had finally uncovered the secret hidden within the deep sea. Within this pitch black abyss lurked an incomprehensible strange power, a force capable of twisting ordinary living beings into killing-driven aberrations. Devouring a single mutated specimen granted him an enormous surge of evolution points, worth more than hundreds of regular open ocean fish. I still do not fully understand the true nature of old corruption, but I have discovered a reliable path to rapid advancement. Lu Ming rejoiced internally. Ordinary fish provide negligible evolution gains, insufficient to meet the requirements for rank 3 evolution. I will no longer waste time hunting trivial prey. I will explore the deep sea and target these mutated beasts corrupted by the old ones. Lu Ming had a strong premonition. Countless similar mutated monsters and tremendous opportunities to evolve continuously and reach the peak of life lay hidden within the boundless 10,000-meter abyss. At the exact same moment Lu Ming delved into the deep sea to pursue his new evolution path. Across the entire Great Xia Federation, an ultra-high-level security decree issued by the Heavenly Pivot Central Command was transmitted with top priority to all coastal provinces, port authorities, the Open Ocean Fishery Union, and Deep Sea Research Headquarters. All communications were encrypted internally, no public announcements released, orders passed down level by level for execution only. Great Xia Federation Heavenly Pivot SSS. Grade Maritime Security Order 1. Effective immediately, all 4 territorial seas, open, ocean shipping routes, and deep sea operations within federal territory enter the highest security alert status. Private vessels are permitted to navigate mid-ocean and uninhabited deep sea zones. All seagoing ships must report their coordinates in real time. If abnormally large, unknown sea beasts, strange ocean phenomena, or irregular currents are discovered, report the location immediately. Hold position. An unauthorized investigation is prohibited. Relevant authorities will coordinate the launch of detection protocols supporting top-secret Operation Seek Azure. National Deep Sea Satellite Arrays, unmanned underwater fleets, concealed research vessels, and seabed sonar monitoring networks are mobilized. All 10,000-meter deep fissures, hidden trenches, and unknown abyssal zones across the 4 seas will be continuously surveyed. Monitoring will run non-stop to track energy fluctuations and signs of biological mutation in the deep ocean. Reiterated, all maritime, fishing, and marine exploration personnel and vessels operating within federal territory who sight abnormally large marine life exceeding 5 meters in length with irregular shapes or erratic behavior must report coordinates immediately. No unauthorized contact or attack is permitted. All large open ocean vessels shift to secondary combat readiness, and armed escorts may be deployed at discretion. Beneath the clauses sat a seal that had never appeared on any public document before, a long sword piercing a black dragon. No civilian recognized the mark, yet every senior official receiving the decree paled upon seeing it. It was the exclusive insignia of the highest governing authority, linked to the ancient institution known as Bureau 749. Once the order was issued, the entire federal maritime system sprang into action. Countless mothballed deep sea detection devices were activated. Research fleets kept in permanent silent standby, lifted operational restrictions. Gigantic state-owned open ocean research vessels departed ports one after another, cutting through rolling waves toward different regions of the 4 seas. Satellite networks scanned the ocean surface from high altitude. Sonar arrays spread across the seabed, and surface warships formed layered patrol lines. That afternoon, dense ship horns echoed across every major port of Great Xia. More than a dozen newly painted open ocean giants were guided out of harbor by tugboats. Deck lights blazed brightly, and the silhouettes of large equipment covered by canvas cast shadows beneath the dusk sky. Crew members gathered along the railings, whispering among themselves. I have sailed these waters for 20 years, and I have never witnessed a mobilization like this. I heard the federal government activated 6 deep sea fleets. They even recalled researchers stationed at the Antarctic Research Station. What exactly are they searching for? Nobody knows. Headquarters only mentioned locating fissures, underground cracks on the seabed. What could be so important about a fissure? An elderly sailor leaning against the railing crushed his cigarette butt and tossed it into the waves. He narrowed his eyes toward the setting sun on the horizon and spoke quietly. It does not matter what they seek. We will find out soon enough. I sense the world as we know it is about to change.